Hello? Hello? Is anybody out there? I was stuck. I was caught. I was caught in limbo. All of a sudden, my ding dong software. Oh my God. I think it must be me. You know, like those people that can't wear watches? You know what those, have you heard of those people? I feel like that's who I am. I can't wear a watch and I can't use streaming software. Hi, Neil. Sorry, everybody. Anyway, good morning. Oh my God. I'm good. How are you, Neil? I hope you're well. Oh my God, I'm a little rough and tumble this morning. I spent all day outside yesterday and it was a lot. It was great. It was really good. I haven't done that in a long time. So that was a lot of fun. But it really wore me out, like it just kind of like, did you do anything fun this weekend, Neil? Summer in Montreal. Ooh, fun, fun, fun. Watches are ridiculous. Yes, I agree. I totally agree. How are you, Dan? Steely Dan, one of my favorite bands ever. Hi, Jane Jane. What was I doing in the sun? Well, I did do a little shopping. I have to admit. It was a really nice day. And we went over to the to the LA Farmers Market. It's also called the Grove. It's really not a farmers market, so which is kind of funny. But but we went over to the farmers market. Now, unfortunately, I forgot or we forgot that Los Angeles is hosting some of the games, I guess. No, Neil. Oh no, your brother's house got flooded. Is everything okay? Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that sucks. Everything. But with the World Cup, there's watch parties, right? Oh, wow. 6 inches of rain in 4 hours, that's too much. That's too much. Yeah. And it was very nice. It was a beautiful day. Oh my God. Beautiful, breezy, sunny, gorgeous kind of day. Sorry, Dan, or sorry, Neil. But, but they at the farmer's market, it's also called the Grove. Um, they had a huge, like, fan zone, right? Like FIFA fan zone. Well, I think it was Nike actually. But anyway, they had this huge fan zone. So it was just so many people. And there's so many I didn't realize because I don't go out in LA a lot. Oh, the basement is a mess. Well, I guess. I don't know. It's a lot of pain in the ass. So sorry about that. Hi, Mr. Spock. How are you? Yeah, so anyway, there's this huge fan zone to, watch parties, which was really cute actually. But it's a lot of people. And I just don't go out in Los Angeles that much. I mean, I do, but I don't really being where I am now. But it was just people were everywhere. And they were all from like Germany. No. They weren't all from Germany, but it seemed like they were all from Germany, but they weren't. They were from other countries. We spoke to 2 very nice men from Ireland, who were they're very funny and all, excited to be there and stuff like that. So it was fun. It's kind of fun to see. But I'm just not that used to I don't go to very many spots in LA where there's a ton of tourists all the time, so it was kind of overwhelming, but cute. It was cute. Um, and let's see. Yeah, so that was it. We bought our summer reading. We bought our summer reading books, which was very exciting. Very naughty and very exciting, but I'm very excited. Okay, so I have 2 summer readings that I'm going to do, okay? This is my summer books. These are my beach books. All right, the first one is Butter. Oops. Butter by Asako Yuzuki. And let me read you the thing. Hold on. Oops, I don't know where my glasses are. don't know where my glasses are, but you should pick your summer book too. Like we should all have, like, wouldn't it be fun? We'd all have a summer book to read. I think that'd be fun. Okay, here we go. This is what this book is about. There are two things that I simply cannot tolerate: feminists and margarine. Gourmet cook Manako Kaji sits in the Tokyo detention house, convicted of the serial murders of lonely businessmen, whom she is said to have seduced with her delicious home cooking. The case has captured the nation's imagination, but Kaji refuses to speak with the press, entertaining no visitors. That is until journalist Rika Mashida, sorry, writes a letter asking for her recipe for beef stew, and Kaji can't resist writing back. Rika, the only woman in her news office, works late each night, rarely cooking more than ramen. As the visits unfold between her and the steely Kaji, they are closer to a master class in food than journalistic research. Rika hopes this gastronomic exchange will help her soften Kaji, but it seems that Rika might be the one changing. Do she and Kaji have more in common than she once thought? Inspired by the real case of a convicted con woman and serial killer, the Kankatsu killer Asako Yuzuki's Butter is a vivid, unsettling exploration of misogyny, obsession, romance, and the transgressive pleasures of food in Japan. I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited about it. So that's one. That's a serial, like, interview with a serial killer and cooking. And then I got this. It's called A Different Drummer, and it's by William Melvin Kelly. And it's not a very long book, so this one will be shorter, but this one looked really interesting. So I had to choose it. All right, this one is June 1957. One hot afternoon in the backwaters of the Deep South, a young black farmer named Tucker Galaban salts his fields, shoots his horse, burns his house, and heads north with his wife and child. His departure sets off an exodus of the state's entire black population, throwing the established order into confused disarray. Told from the points of view of the white residents who remained, A Different Drummer stands decades after its first publication in 1962 as an extraordinary and prescient triumph of satire and spirit. I'm really excited to read this too. So I'm going to read that. So those are my summer reading. You should find yours. I went to the FIFA fan zone. Well, it wasn't really, I think they sounded German, but they probably weren't. They probably weren't. I wasn't listening that closely. No, it's not a cookbook. Although there probably are recipes. I don't know. I'm very excited. I know. Margarine, definitely don't. Although we ate that a lot when I was a kid. Because that was what we had the money for. So we ate Oleo. Remember Oleo? Yes, and it was the FIFA fan. Well, it just happened to be happening at the mall. So I shouldn't. Well, it's not really a mall. It's like an outdoor market. The farmers market. It's like two mini outdoor malls like together, but it has a big old part called the farmers market. And anyway, so yeah, and it's I don't know, it's close to us, so that's why we go there. But anyway, so yeah, we went and got our summer books and got some, refreshed a couple of clothing pieces that we needed to refresh. Nothing crazy. Didn't buy anything crazy, I don't think. Did I? No, I don't think I did. Those were the craziest things we did. We spent a lot of money on books. That's what we did. And the guy at the bookstore is like, "Oh, someone's gonna be busy this summer," and we're like, "Yes." All right. Good morning. You didn't really come to hear about my book shopping tour, but I'm sorry. Let me blow my nose. Let me clear my throat. Okay. Oh my God. Oh God. Gross. Disgusting. Super disgusting. Oh my God. Girl, go off the screen for that. Sorry. I probably just messed up all my makeup. But anyway, let me make sure I don't look like. Oh, I do. But anyway, damn. But welcome to the show. Oh my God. Is this Monday? Oh, you know what happens. Is it Monday really? I'm kind of like confused now. I don't even think I'm high. In fact, I know I'm not because I haven't smoked yet. Wait, but it's Monday. We need our Monday picture. Where's my Monday picture? What happened? Oh, there it is. Okay, you know what day it is. It's this day. It's this day. Mondays, me. Mondays, me. Mondays, me. So, yep, it's one of those. If you're gonna be the dinosaur, you're gonna be the kid. All right? What's gonna happen? You're gonna be the dinosaur, you're gonna be the kid. Yeah, at least poop is funny, right? And Uranus. I don't know. I'm just saying. I love the bookmobile. Oh my god. Book day at school was like I felt like fucking Kim Kardashian. I mean, cuz my mom, that's one place we could go hog wild. We could buy any I could buy anything I wanted at the book fair. My mom would be like, "Hell yeah, you go, girl." I felt like Kim Kardashian. I want this one and that one and this one. ¿Por qué no los dos? Why not both? That's something Bobo and I say to each other all the time. ¿Por qué no los dos? Anyway, good morning. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place today. Maybe I do need to smoke some weed. Don't I have a fart noise? I guess we don't have a fart noise anymore. I thought we did, but I guess we don't. No, we have.
The following moments may contain explicit language.
Yeah, we have that. That's definitely going to happen. But welcome to Wake and Bake with Lolo. I'm Lolo. This is your morning news program. We're back at 7 a.m. right now, and we may be. It's going to be weird couple of weeks because it looks like we have the Silent Meow, sweet book. I haven't heard of that. I would love to hear what people's summer reads are. Ooh, that'd be fun. Stephanie, are you here? Oh my gosh. Stephanie, those videos were incroyable. I'll go ahead and I apologize that I didn't share everything this weekend, Stephanie, with the Discord. I'll do that. But the good news is, I think, is that we have a new apartment. We just have to sign, everything has to be dotted and crossed and, whatever, umlauted. We have to umlaut the deal. And once we umlaut the deal, then, I think the plan is to really be fully moved in by the middle of next month, but we're going to start moving in on the 1st of July. So technically, as of July 1st, I should be back at this time, Monday through Friday, all the time. But until then, because I have to get this place ready to be viewed by human beings, I have a lot of work to do. So it might mean that my schedule for the next 2 weeks is kind of nutty and sporadic. I might not be live every day. I'm sad about it because I'm ready to get to that consistent every morning thing. I need that. I feel very disjointed. Yeah, we were kind of celebration shopping. We probably shouldn't have been, but it was kind of like it was a nice relief. We needed to be out and we don't do that ever really. So it was nice to go out and kind of just, refresh a couple things. And the book thing, it's just so fun. I know moving in the summer. I don't like moving at all. I'm never going to move again. No, I'm not. It's not true. Will I have lemons? I will definitely have lemons and cinnamon. Let me tell you, the kitchen that we have to cook in is amazing. You guys are going to flip out. We're going to go back to cooking shows. I have a beautiful balcony that we have we can put a second camera up so we can see the sky. And oh my God, y'all, it's going to be great. It's going to be a really nice setup. Really, really nice and very, very good. So I'm excited about that, but I'm anxious because I've got a lot of work to do between now and July 1st, especially. And I'm not excited about it. So it just means because I can't handle a lot of things during my day. That's just my brain has, stopped kind of thing. And, so I get really exhausted after doing a show, which is, ridiculous, but I'm just explaining to you what happens to me personally. So I get really exhausted, so I can't like clean and stuff like that a lot. So I need to just mentally and physically balance out the next couple of weeks. But I really want to be live. So I don't know. So you're just going to see my struggle, I guess, for the next couple of weeks. So bear with me. I got mountains and I know I've got a beautiful view today, don't I? But yeah, so if you could be patient, but in a few weeks, I really feel like the morning show is going to get back to a very much more stable situation, and I'm looking forward to that. That'll be great, and it'll be really great. It'll be so wonderful. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Jane. That's really kind of you. That's really sweet. Oh, you're so sweet. It'll be a busy July. It'll be a busy July because, between that and then the 15th or whenever we actually gave our notice for here, I have to clean this place. So we just want to get everything out, get it ready to stage, and then do the deep cleaning before we actually move out. Yeah, I'm going to do short shows, I think. You're right, Jane. Oh, you're so sweet. You guys are too kind. You guys are really nice to me. You understand that? Do you understand how grateful I know I am for how much grace is given to me for all the shit that we've been through for the last 5 years, 4 years, whatever. But we're going to do it, and we're going to just take it a day at a time, and we're going to do what we can. I've got a goal every day of what I want to accomplish, and I'm going to just work as hard as I can for that. And, we're going to shoot for the moon and land among the stars. Oh, it is 420. Oh. Okay, well, let's find a video clip because that'll help me do some 420. Thank you, Mr. Spock. You are so smart. But anyway, I hope everyone is well. I hope you had a decent weekend. It sounds like Neil had a hard one, and was it your brother-in-law? Wait, your brother that had a problem with his basement? He got his basement flooded. Everybody's okay, but he's got a mess on his hands. And 10 years. Dan's like 10 years. 10 whole long years. Okay, let me see what I've got because I do have a couple clips I know that I pulled for today that I wanted to share with you. Oh, this is from an hour ago. Okay, this is an 11-minute thing. Hold on. And you can tell by that stupid voice that it's dumb shit McMuffin head. Hey, dumb shit McMuffin head. That's our vice president, also known as our vice president. I don't want to be the big one. Okay, so I'm gonna play this and I'm gonna smoke some weed and hopefully find my voice. Okay. Here we go. This is from an hour ago.
Back in the United States, I guess good afternoon to the folks assembled. So look, yesterday was a very, very good day. We made a lot of good progress. We did exactly what we wanted to do, which is accomplish 4 things for the American people. First, we wanted to build a mechanism for keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. It is open. We've seen, of course, gas prices and oil prices come down, millions and millions of barrels of crude and natural gas flowing through the Strait of Hormuz that weren't flowing before. But we also wanted to make sure that we actually set up the coordination mechanism so that we could demine the Straits of Hormuz, so that when there are the conflicts that inevitably come up, we can...
He is fucked. He is fucked. Can you hear it in his voice? See, this is the thing with this kid. He can't fucking hide anything. He is the worst poker face I've ever seen in my life. And his voice is at such an octave and at such a cadence that I can tell that this man is clenching those ass cheeks so hard there's a diamond about to be pushed out. Yes, incompetent ass clown. And they are throwing him under the motherfucking bus. Oh, I hope you enjoy tire tracks with your eyeliner because you're about to be run over by this semi. I love this. I don't know. I love this for him. I really do.
Make sure we work through them rather than
He's
that
so
leading to
nervous.
escalation, and that is exactly what we did yesterday. Number two, we also wanted to build a mechanism, a similar mechanism, for deconfliction for the regional ceasefire. As the President of the United States has himself said, sometimes these ceasefires just mean you're shooting a little bit less, but we wanted to make sure that we had the proper coordination set up so that if there is shooting, if Hezbollah fires at Israel or if Israel responds, if there are other conflicts that arise in the region, we're actually talking to each other and figuring out how to stop the shooting, how to make the region safer, our allies and everybody else. We set that up as well. Number three, and this is probably what we're most excited about as Americans, the Iranians have agreed to invite IAEA inspectors back into their country. That is a major milestone for the American people and the first step in permanently denuclearizing or permanently ending a nuclear weapons program in Iran.
Permanently?
And that's exactly what we wanted to do. That's exactly what we asked to happen. We made a lot of great progress on other nuclear talks. And that leads me to the final thing that we wanted to accomplish, which is actually set up the process for the technical negotiations that will follow.
I'm exhausted listening
Our teams,
to him.
working with the Iranians, the Qataris, and the Pakistanis, made great progress yesterday. They will continue to work at the technical level with the teams here in Bergenstock, and then those technical negotiations are going to continue over the weeks and days to come.
I think
we wanted to set up a structure for that so that you could have.
I think J.D. Vance thinks he's the smart one in the room. I really believe this. I believe this more than anything in the world. I believe that he thinks that there is, hold on, let me fix this. I believe that J.D. Vance thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. I really believe it. And I think he's convinced himself that that's the case. And nobody can tell him otherwise. And his mommy tells him he's really smart. And his wife tells him he's really smart. And I think he actually probably thinks he's the smart one and that he's got this. And I'm sure he's counting on the fact that Peter Thiel has a lot of fucking money and has a lot of influence in this particular administration. So, I don't know.
Proper political oversight, but obviously,
Rissa!
as much as this place is very
really
beautiful,
is.
I can't stay here
God.
for the next 60 days. I'm about to go back home to the.
No, I love you. This really is. Oh my God, I love you so much. Miss you, girl. I miss you. Have a beautiful day, and I love you. I love you so much. Okay, bye. Oh, K9, it's so good to see you. Welcome. They all do. The only thing they're good is narcissism. I know he thinks he's untouchable. He doesn't even realize he's being thrown under the bus.
Working with proper oversight to make sure that we're accomplishing the objectives that matter for everybody. So those are the things that we wanted to accomplish. We came here. We did exactly that. The way that I think about it is very simple. We laid a very good foundation for a successful final deal. The final deal is the house. We set the foundation. We haven't built the house, but we've laid a successful foundation to get to a good place for the American people. I think it's important for all of us to appreciate how much was done, but honestly, there is still a lot to do as we continue to make progress on the nuclear talks, on the economic talks, as we continue to demine the straits and ensure that that flow of traffic continues to pick back up. A lot of progress, but still some work to do, and we're very committed to doing exactly that. So with that, I'm happy to take a few questions from guys in the audience. I appreciate you guys being here. Let's start with you.
No, this is the foreign press.
Did the president's threats yesterday really throw a wrench in negotiations? There were reports that the Iranians walked out at one point. Can you just clarify and tell us what happened?
No, they didn't throw a wrench in the system. The thing with the Iranians, yes, they did threaten to walk out, or at least there were social media threats that they would walk out. But we were negotiating well past 1 in the morning yesterday, so they didn't walk out. And their technical team is still here in Bergenstock working with our technical team actually as we speak, though I imagine maybe some of them are taking a break to watch this news conference. But look, what we told the Iranians yesterday is when you guys engage in what us millennials might call trash talk, you can't expect the President of the United States not to respond and not to correct the record. So when they say things that aren't true, the President is going to respond to it. I'm going to respond to it. Americans are going to respond to it. When they make threats that aren't rooted in reality, they have to accept that the President of the United States is actually going to set the record straight. That's all that happened. So yes, there was a little bit of threatening, there was a little bit of whining, but at the end of the day, the talks continued and we made great progress.
On the nuclear inspectors, when do you expect them to
be welcomed into Iran? Is there a time frame that you guys are looking at? And also in terms of when we could see this entire conflict end, do you think this can end by the midterm elections?
No.
Well, look, right now the conflict is in a ceasefire, and certainly our hope is that we get to the final deal.
Is it?
Permanent,
Is
permanent
that what we
settlement.
call?
But right now, I think we made great progress.
So is a ceasefire when you're, oh, would you? This really is. If you do, I will let you know, because I will come down. I will come down there. I would love to meet up, girl. Oh my God. Totally awesome. Anytime you let me know. But being in the adults in the room, they went back, because our president definitely is not a duck. He does not let things just roll off his back. I know, because of Trump, they walked out. I mean, this is so ridiculous. Your boss can always be an adult and ignore the trash. I mean, who does trash talk? He's the trashiest of talkers. I mean, yeah, exactly. You won't have a fucking country to go back to. What the fuck is that all about? Who would want to deal with that? Who would want to deal with that? Like, fuck you. You came in and blew my country up. Yeah, you're mad about shit, but look at you. Oh, you're mad that we're shooting protesters? Look at you. Oh, you're mad that we're demonizing lifestyles or whatever it is. I don't know if they do or not, but oh, look at us. Stupid. Pageant of Masters 2. Oh, yes, we can meet at my... Oh, I would love to. Oh, my God. I would love to.
And we should all celebrate that. In terms of when the nuclear inspectors are going to start, it's funny, we were trying to call some of the inspectors last night around 2 in the morning. As you can expect, not many people were answering their phone at 2 in the morning. I expect that will happen at the minimum this week, but we think even some of those conversations with the inspectors and with the IAEA could happen as soon as today. But I haven't checked in with our team since we made that 2 a.m. phone call to some.
Why hasn't the IAEA been involved from the jump? Now, I understand that that's not the point. These guys actually don't want the exposure of everything they're trying to do behind the scenes. So they don't really want the IAEA up their bunghole, for this. Yeah, ceasefire light. Exactly. It's a ceasefire-ish. Apparently, but they haven't met with them yet. They haven't met with the IAEA inspectors yet. Because why wouldn't you be talking to them all along the fucking time? Why did no one think of that? Because they're too busy mischaracterizing the last IAEA report. That's why.
Those inspectors. Sorry.
Mr. Vice President. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Did you, going in, expect the Iranians to make Lebanon as much of a linchpin as they ended up doing? And how would you describe the progress on Lebanon? I know Mr. Arachi said it was very good progress, but what's your characterization of it?
Yeah, I would describe it as very good progress, too. I mean, look, we want a regional ceasefire, right? We want Hezbollah to stop firing at our friends in Israel. We want Israelis to be able to live in peace. We also want to make sure that, when things happen, they don't spiral into a broader escalation. And so we've been, I think, very good at setting up what we're calling a deconfliction mechanism. But what it really is to say that when things happen, the sides are actually talking to one another. Sometimes, you've got a bit of a chicken and egg problem, that you've got a junior guy who fires a drone that didn't have approval from the high command. Okay, of course, Israel has to respond to that.
No,
but then sometimes that response...
No, see, they don't. See, if that's truly the case, J.D. Vance, then that's actually not what has to happen. If it's truly a junior person misfiring or whatever, then there should be adults talking to each other saying, hey, that was a mistake. It's not, oh, that means that Israel gets to throw a bomb in there. Like, what? I don't know. Denny almost got a squirrel. Oh, no. Oh, Stephanie. That always makes me nervous with dogs. Don't eat it. Is Scott Ritter still in jail? I don't think he is, but I don't know that. Isn't he in Russia? I thought he ran away to Russia. Am I wrong, Dan? I thought he ran away to Russia.
We could actually have a better
see
and
him
more
on
peaceful
fucking- no,
situation
he's gotta be.
if Israel
He's not in
responds
jail.
in the context of a conversation that's ongoing between
I see him on
Hezbollah,
podcasts.
Lebanon, Israel, and other partners in the region. There really hasn't been a
think he's-
mechanism
isn't
to
he a
have those
pedophile?
discussions until basically around 4 p.m. yesterday, Bergenstock time, when we set that up. So what we're trying to do is to say, first of all, Israel and every other nation in the region has the right of self-defense, but we want to make sure that everybody has
exactly.
that right of
This,
self-defense in the background where we're talking about how to de-escalate these conflicts rather than spiraling out of control. Sometimes what will happen is that if the conflict spirals out of control, that's worse for everybody's self-defense and worse for everybody's security.
so nice
So we've
to
actually got
hi.
the process
sorry,
in place
love
to
this.
ensure that that escalation doesn't happen. Now, I will say you already see the fruits of that. Over the past 24 hours, it's probably been the most peaceful that we've seen the situation in Lebanon. The previous 24 hours were pretty good. Obviously, there was some shooting about 72 hours ago.
You answered your own question.
This is a work in progress, but what we've done is actually set up the operation so that we can ensure it doesn't spiral out of control.
He didn't say what came first.
Does the U.S. want Israel to withdraw forces from southern Lebanon?
Well, we want Israel's security to be protected, and we also want Lebanon's sovereignty to be protected, and this is going to be an ongoing conversation. The Israelis have been very clear they do not have territorial intentions on South Lebanon. The reason they feel they have to be there is because they're worried about
I thought I
Hezbollah
remembered
fighters
that.
in South Lebanon firing into Israel.
Yeah,
We
maybe
do
they'll
believe,
hire him.
Of course, it's going to require a
Maybe
lot of
they'll
hard
hire
work,
him.
that we can get to a place where Lebanon's territorial integrity and sovereignty is protected, Israel's security is protected, and that's going to require some coordination with the Lebanese
Karen,
armed
good
forces,
morning,
and also
darling.
it's
How
going to
are
require
you?
the Iranians to rein in
Lovely
Hezbollah. That's
Karen.
all the sort of things that we were talking about yesterday. And again, I think that we got much further compared to where
Now
we
we're
were
going to worry
just
about
24 hours ago.
spiraling.
Have you spoken with Prime Minister Netanyahu?
I think he's in Russia,
during
right?
Any of this process at all?
Teresa,
in the
didn't he
recent
run away to
days?
Russia?
Yeah, we were in constant contact with the Israelis yesterday, but also, of course, with the Saudis and the Emiratis and others in the region. We talked to the Lebanese yesterday as well, so we're constantly trying to keep our regional friends updated about this. This is not a deal that the United States is imposing on the region. This is a deal that the region has desperately asked the United States to put in place. Obviously, the headlines have been very focused about what's been going on between the United States and Iran.
This is a war that started because Bibi, Dumpy, and Pootie needed to really stir some shit up. And each one of those dudes has imperialistic aims over different parts of the world and different resources. And so this was the culmination of a Pootie dump Bibi plan. Bibi dump Pootie, that's what I'm going to call it. The Bibi dump Pootie plan that we're experiencing. And it's not going well. And you're going to take the fall for it, which actually will be pretty fucking delicious to watch. I don't know. We got to get our yayas where we can. So that could be a good place to get some yayas.
But this region has been a basket case for a very long time. And what the president has set us to do, again, lay the foundation, see if we can get to a permanent peace. If we
I'm sure
can't,
Dump would
the President of the United
pardon
States still
him.
has a lot of options to accomplish America's security objectives, but he has certainly committed us to this pathway for now, and we're going to keep on working and seeing what we can accomplish. And then I want to just, before we depart here, I want to say one last thing. I've seen some misreporting about frozen or unfrozen Iranian assets. One of the other things that we wanted to do, and wasn't as high of a priority for us for obvious reasons, but we wanted to make sure that we set up a process where if we ever unfreeze Iranian assets, we can ensure that that money, that Iranian money, goes to help the people of Iran and not to fund terrorism. So Jared Kushner actually came up with a very interesting solution with the Qataris, where basically, again, if there is any frozen Iranian assets that are unfrozen, then we have approval over that process. The Qataris have approval over that process. And then the money would actually go to buy American soy, American corn, and American wheat for the benefit of the Iranian people. And as much as I see some of the press misreporting on this, and of course, buttressed by what the Iranians are saying, or not all Iranians, I want to be clear, there are a lot of Iranians who are telling the truth about what happened yesterday, but you see some social media reporting that gets this wrong. But fundamentally, what Jared and the Qataris and the entire team here in Bergenstock accomplished is, to me, a classic Trump deal, where if Iranian assets are ever unfrozen...
That's the soundbite right there. A classic Trump deal. Wait, I got to take a picture of that. A classic Trump deal. This is the biggest fucking... What's that big, like, the FUBAR thing, but like a big... I don't know. Whatever the biggest, like, self-inflicted error is, this is it. I mean, this caps off a year and a half of self-inflicted errors. Don't get me wrong, but
they're going to go
classic
to make
Trump
American
deal.
Farmers richer and to feed the Iranian people.
Oh,
that's a very, very good and very classic Trump deal. That's great for our people, great for the people of Iran, and fundamentally, again...
You also understand what happens when we try to, like, be the send... this is going to not work. Okay, listen. Oh, my God. This is not going to work. First of all, I don't think we're ever going to get to a place where there's like American soybeans and American, whatever, going over to Iran. Okay? I just don't even think that's going to happen. I think this is $300 billion that we are going to put up. Yeah. Oh, that's right. He wanted to cut. I can't anymore. This is all Mar-a-Lago Accord. And they're just really going to see what they can wring out of Iran for them, for us, and all the buddies that we have over there that also want to just make sure they control what's happening in their region, like with an iron hand. So we're going to assist that. Yeah, Jared wants to, I'm sure he'd be in charge of the reconstruction. So this is self-dealing. This is all going to be self-dealing. And no farmers are going to benefit because of this. Give me a break. How are the farmers doing with the fact that we didn't really stop USAID? We just diverted it somewhere else. How's that going for you, farmers? How are your sales of crops going? Oh, how are your plans to plant, too? Do you have enough fertilizer this spring? What about when you plant in the fall? What's going to happen then? It's a house of cards. It's a real house of cards. And it's just really, yeah, Albania isn't. Thank goodness. Thank you, Albania.
Will contribute to this regional security architecture that we've built and that we're going to work very hard to ensure.
We're the bad guys.
Endures. So from Switzerland, thank you all for being here. I appreciate the questions and I appreciate the engagement. I am looking forward to going back home. And
shut up. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, Albania ain't having it. No, they aren't having it. Albania says no. I do have a couple of pieces that I want to read to you today, as well as just check some of the news stories. Check the news and see how we're doing. Do 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 do. I don't know if Carrie's around, but my goodness, we have a big change in the UK. Woo! Starmer announces resignation as UK Prime Minister. Oh, yeah. Well, I say, I know. Why can't you? Because I've got money in my account. Okay. Prime Minister Keir Starmer stepped down as leader of the governing Labour Party. Andy Burnham, the party's most popular politician, said he would seek the prime minister's job and secured the support of a potential rival. Ah, that's right. Yes, because someone, who was it? Who was the guy? Now I'm like, there was a guy that was going to be, that was also going to go for it, but he decided not to. Prime Minister Keir Starmer of Britain announced his resignation on Monday, bowing to a mutiny inside his Labour Party and paving the way for Andy Burnham, the former mayor of Greater Manchester, to likely become the country's next leader. And we read about Andy slightly more. Hi, Tom. How are you, darling? Peru isn't either all over South America. Narco Rubio rigged elections he oversaw. I'm going to tell you, Rissa, that's going to come out. It's really difficult to even find news on the right-wing fuckery inflicted on all the countries south of us. Yep. You're so right. You're so right. Yeah. Mr. Starmer said that he would remain as prime minister until a new party leader is selected by September rather than fight to remain in his job he won almost 2 years ago. His decision means that Britain will have its 7th prime minister in 10 years, in a decade, extending a period of political turmoil for the country since it voted to leave the European Union in 2016. Well, that was probably not a good idea. All right, so that's the latest on good old, jolly old England. Britannia rule the world. I don't know. Okay, there is. Let me go ahead and go to this. Yeah, since we were talking about JD Vance, let's talk about JD Vance. Hi, Tom. All right, this is an article from New York Magazine, and it is, I think it's from, I guess it is from, it's from yesterday. The Empty Confessions of J.D. Vance. No, 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 no. In August, sorry. Sorry, I have a frog in my throat. I have a J.D. Vance in my throat. In Augustine's Confessions, the saint speaks of his turn to God in a language so potent that it is reverberated through centuries. He is gnawed within, in Gary Willis's translation, stalled in a terrible regret. He tells God that he lashed his soul, trying to force it along with me in my quest for you, but his soul would not comply. Instead, it could only tremble in silence, holding it death to escape the stream of habits that were draining it to death. When he goes into a garden to consider his torment, he tears his hair and pounds his head and weeps. Only scripture gives him any respite, and he discovers, having resolved at last to follow Christ, that light was flooding my heart with assurance, and all my shadowy reluctance evanesced. Thus illuminated, he leaves his profession as a teacher of rhetoric and commits himself to a deeper truth. Catholic converts often take Augustine as their patron today, and the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, is one of them. Vance's new memoir, Communion, owes its form to Confessions, though not its substance. For 304 pages, Vance travels away from Christianity through the wilderness before returning, Bilbo-like. Communion is a tale of conversion and of spiritual renewal, and Vance finds in Catholicism the meaning that eluded him at Yale. It's a little bigger. Like Augustine, Vance consumes himself with worldly success, but is lost when he obtains it. There, the similarities end. Vance does not tremble. If he feels awe, he does not say. The adversarial faith he picks up from his father, a holy roller awash in culture war and Bible prophecies, gives way to atheism, which gives way to the magisterium of the Catholic Church. Throughout Communion, Vance's spiritual journey runs parallel to his public ascendancy. But while Augustine renounced his worldly pursuits, Vance parlays them into power. Does it strike anyone else that Augustine was suffering some sort of emotional trauma? I wouldn't be shocked. I just got back for the Starmer update. Oh, that's the first thing that we didn't do much other stuff. Yeah. But we're moving on to JD Vance. But by now, I think you're pretty up to date. By now, we know all about Vance's rise from a working class childhood to the best selling Hillbilly Elegy, to the heights of punditry, the Senate, and now the vice presidency. There's no other reason to read Communion, certainly not for the prose, which is a step below workmanlike, or the aw shucks tone, which he continues from Elegy. There is the inevitable mama, I don't know how to say that. Mama. Isn't it Mima? No, Mama. Okay. Mama, I don't know. There's the inevitable mama, I don't know, who loves Jesus and the F word and her collection of firearms. Vance's mother recedes into the background, and so does her fight with addiction, while his wife, Usha, keeps leading our hero into the light. My Native Appalachia takes a fresh hit in the back third of the book, where Vance muscles it down to cliche. When people ask me what I most admire about the Appalachian people and culture, a few things come to mind, he writes. I often say that my family cared far less about credentials and job accomplishments than about people and kin. When I read this, I imagined him laughing at the Hicks and their animal instincts, at the liberals for buying his snake oil, at MAGA itself for giving him everything he wanted. Well, almost. Mama. Okay. I don't know. It doesn't sound right. I'm not sure what it sounds right. Yeah, what did he go to Camp David? Is he in Camp David? Like, where's Trump? Is he alive? Death Watch 2026. If Jesus had turned straw into wheat instead of water to wine, we'd be smoking up at communion. Exactly. Hello. Thank you for that. More than a mother's care or the love of God, Vance craves respect. This is good. Elegy was a testament to need and resentment, a map of the maw in his soul. He tears down his mother, hillbilly culture, and Yale elites so that he can float above them, enlightened, a talking head for the ages. In Communion, he looks back at this period with feigned ambivalence. Quote, all of a sudden, I found myself going on TV to talk about politics and the 2016 election, he says, as if CNN plucked him out of the ether. People invited me to fancy conferences with wealthy people to talk about American culture, the urban-rural divide, and any number of other topics. He notes slyly that being a public intellectual pays incredibly well, though mostly he appreciated the flexibility. Finally, he says, in Augustinian fashion, that if I was being honest with myself, much of what drew me to this life was its prestige. Mama. Oh, Mama. That makes a lot of sense. Mama. Okay. I don't know. I thought it was Mima. Augustine rues his old work, teaching arts which claim to be liberal, chasing after the bauble fame. When he writes later that his impulse was for intellectual challenge, I itched for argument, he is confessing a sin before God and surrenders the pursuit of acclaim to seek absolution. Vance says he didn't care about God's will, only his own, but he never gives up his ambitions, and not once does he question his merit. He addresses communion to us, not the Creator, and finds us wanting. When he tweets to his significant social media following that most Trump supporters are good people, his new friends could not abide his message, and the failure is theirs, not his. He appears on primetime TV after Trump's victory in 2016 and feels contempt at the sense of grief in the newsroom and the sight of multiple people crying. Paragraphs earlier, he'd praised his father's faith for its understanding of grace, but he shows none for the distressed. For much of my young adult life, I thought that my father was an irrational religious man, as much as I loved him, and that these newsroom criers were sensible, logical people, he writes. I clearly had missed something. I know. The painful lack of intellect. Yeah, calling Peter Thiel people is a stretch. It's true. Yeah, the guy went to Yale, for fuck's sake. Give me a break. Oh my God. Vance wants us to know he is better than everyone. Better than the newsroom criers, better than Mama, that virtuous pagan. Better than his father, who refuses chemo for esophageal cancer and dies believing God will cure him. As Vance tells us, God did not heal him. He died a few days later. Better than Usha, the unbeliever, whose loyalty and lack of professional drive make her useful. As Vance tells her admiringly, you have the biggest mismatch between ambition and ability of any person I've ever met. What? What? Wow, thanks, honey. I love you too. You could be the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and you have no interest in it. Although the title of his, I guess he knows. Boy, you better sleep with one eye open, sir. Yeah, that's nasty cancer. Although the title of his memoir evokes the presence of others, we can only be in communion with someone else or with God. He never affords anyone but himself an interior life. We are glimpsing God through him and him alone. Communion does resolve the apparent contradiction between Vance's Christianity and his politics. From it, we learn that he adopts a faith that affirms him. Many people do, but Vance is the vice president, a possible successor to Dump, and his doctrine warps our reality. Yeah, exactly. Now go make me a sandwich. They've got to tell themselves they're really great. You know, like, oh, we're really great. You've got to make me a sandwich. The anthropologist T.M. Lerman argues that believers make God real to themselves through work, like ritual or prayer. The idea that there is an invisible other who takes an active, loving interest in your life is in many ways preposterous and takes effort to maintain, even in a community that has never been secular. She writes, in How God Becomes Real, Kindling the Presence of Invisible Others. What God is Vance wrestling into life? If communion is a tale of conversion, it might have something to say about the metamorphosis that follows. Faith is a habit cultivated over time. Augustine finds that God is becoming ever dearer to me, bestowing more joy in my heart. C.S. Lewis in Mere Christianity says that only death can complete what the moment of salvation begins. How far the change will have gone before death in any particular Christian is uncertain, he adds. By their fruits ye shall know them, Jesus says. Vance knows the verse and wields it like a hammer in communion. The dominant ideas of American culture were bearing some very rotten fruit, he intones. At the Munich Security Conference, he recalls the words of Christ again. The fruits of the rules-based international order, especially since the mid-1990s, were rotten, he says, before he complains of thought policing, which was far worse at the event than at Yale Law. Like he did in Elegy, he strikes out at the establishment in Munich, the pearl-clutching Bill Kristol, the media, but he spares himself. There is no transformation in communion. Vance is in a state of moral torpor. Real grace comes through practice, a priest says, but it's not clear what this means to Vance because the words change nothing. Portions of an essay in The Lamp appear once more in communion, so readers won't find much about Vance and his faith that they can't already Google. Everyone knows a talk by Peter Thiel, the anti-democratic billionaire and early Vance patron, helped lead the future vice president to faith, or that Vance, like Thiel, likes to spit out a little Rene Girard, flattening ideas out into bumper stickers. I was struck, though, by what Vance did change about his essay in his essay. In The Lamp, he includes a parenthetical. My growing view is that too many American Catholics have failed to show proper deference to the papacy, treating the Pope as a political figure to be criticized or praised according to their whims. And he changed it. Okay, so in The Lamp, he said this quote that I just read. In Communion, his new book, he writes instead, my basic view is that too many American Catholics treat the Pope as a political figure and should instead keep a more respectful distance from Vatican politics. Oh, very interesting. Deference has vanished. This is convenient, of course. A lot has happened since Vance published that essay in The Lamp. He has become Trump's vice president and provoked the ire of the Vatican. Francis was a critic of Trump's immigration policies and of Vance specifically, though Communion omits those details and a great deal else. No one would know that Vance falsely accused Haitian immigrants of eating dogs and cats in Springfield, Ohio, or that his comments touched off a whirlwind of hate and led to bomb threats. No one would know that migrant children in Texas detention camp have found mold and worms in their food. No one would know that Border Patrol abandoned Nurul Amin Shah Alam, a blind Rohingya refugee, in front of a shuttered Tim Hortons in the city of Buffalo, where he wandered for days until he died from a burst ulcer, alone and in unspeakable pain. Vance praises Elon Musk for bringing hundreds of thousands of jobs to the U.S., but is silent on Doggy and the destruction of USAID and the mass death that followed. Maybe the book was in edits when ICE killed Renee Good in Minneapolis or when Border Patrol gunned down Alex Preddy in the street. It's easy to call Vance a hypocrite or a fake Christian, a false Christian, rather. He praises Catholic hierarchy and communion, but is perpetually at odds with the Vatican. Still, the condition of hypocrisy requires some internal discord. Vance would have to say one thing and do another, or fail to meet a personal standard. There is no evidence of either in communion. Over and over, he credits himself for his clarity. He moves the right way, toward the right goals, never mind the occasional detour. When he changes his mind about dump, it's because he looked inside our elite institutions and found them intellectually and spiritually broken, not because he wanted power. Only once does he admit error, and that is for blaming the decline of the United States on childless cat ladies. The comment was boneheaded, he says, and weak in the actual point I wanted to make, which was that our society is becoming pathological hostile to having kids. Correct again, if unpolished. The great Vance cannot be wrong. Vance is so transfixed by his own qualities that no one else can break through. If any great thought or power has touched him, there's no proof. God never had a chance. In communion, he mentions Lewis and Chesterton and Aquinas, along with the academic treatises on Christian doctrine. Augustine's ideas swirled in my mind like water in a toilet bowl. Which ideas? Whose treatises? How did Aquinas inspire him? Vance rarely explains. When Augustine is in the garden, he despairs of our cold learning, which distracts him and his peers from God. Vance can't let go of it. He knows he is the standard bearer of the new right, the most special boy, and we must not forget it either. Nothing moves him. He says he does not fear my own physical death, only the end of his civilization. At this point, I felt disgust shift into a sick kind of pity. There's no power on earth like conviction, and Vance has never felt it. The poet Christian Wyman, in My Bright Abyss, writes, "There must be a shattering experience. What a thing it is to be destroyed. During my time at an evangelical college, George Bush ordered a military surge in Iraq. I had never supported the war, but the news shook me profoundly. If God made humanity in his image, if Christ died for everyone, if my faith meant anything at all, then killing was a calamity of such magnitude I could scarcely comprehend it. That is the closest I have felt to Paul, struck down on the road, and today, as an atheist, I judge each principle I form against that single point of revelation. There is before and there is after. For Vance, there is only an unbroken line of ambition." I don't trust anyone who says they aren't afraid of death. The crucifixion has no meaning if death is not a horror. Wyman, who has incurable cancer, says our task might be to make death concrete, or to make concrete experience more fully alive with the whole of lifelessness that is part of one's perception of it. Vance seems to fear irrelevance instead. I dread leaving my kids a world where people no longer visit the graves of their ancestors, he says. And now I wonder if he fears dying more than he admits. What else could drive his grasping for posterity and position and vengeance but the knowledge of his own futility? Augustine should swirl harder. Pitiable, is it not, this filth of self-promotion? The saint cries to God. We cannot escape ourselves, but we can find relief in others in the shared work of grace. Vance does not know this and refuses to learn, so he rips the world apart with his thrashing. To see him is to see his Lord. What looks back at us is the void. Ooh, ouch. Ouch. Ouchie. That's ouchie. Let's see. And then I wanted to read this. Actually, I think this might have been eclipsed by other stuff. Hold on. Dun, 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 dun. Wow. Yeah, Vance goes Catholic there. Yeah, fuck off. Theists are insufferable, aren't they? Hi. Bye, lovey. Thank you so much. I love you. My beautiful daughter. My beautiful daughter. He did come pretty cheap, didn't he, Dan? He's not exactly the most... He's not the most, I don't know. He is pretty obvious. Dun, 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 dun. Just checking. Alan Greenspan died. Oh. I used to kind of like him. I'm not going to lie. I thought he was smart. Maybe he wasn't. He probably wasn't. But I thought he was pretty smart. Boy, R.I.P. Alan Greenspan. Oh, Andrea, what's her name? Must be really mad. Andrea, who's his wife? Andrea Mitchell. Andrea Mitchell. Okay. Hailed as the greatest Federal Reserve chairman when he retired in 2006. Blah, 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 blah. Died on Monday, aged 100. I guess, yeah, it is a good run. And maybe he was responsible for the fucking, maybe he should have done more to stop the 2008 thing. I don't know. I mean, he was a capitalist, so whatever. But he did seem to make some good, like, I don't know. He seemed reasonable. I'll just stop. I'll stop trying to, eulogize Alan Greenspan. I don't think he needs me to eulogize him. I'm so excited about it. I can't even tell you. All right, we've got another one from the New York Magazine because I realized I have a subscription to it. So I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even realize. Once she wakes up, I know. Actually, wait a minute. What happened to her? Because she was in the first Trump. Wait, wasn't she in the newsroom last year? Yeah, she was in the newsroom last year. Where is she now? Oh, maybe because he got sick. I'm dumb. Sorry. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. Okay, I'm really sorry. Okay, let's stop. Let's stop. Let's stop while we're behind. Okay, wait, where's my, oh, this is it. Yeah, Sam Bankman-Fried. I was kind of curious about this one. Let's see what it's about. Yeah, Bobo was off to work. Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. Let's read about Sam. Sam Bankman-Fried's prison experiment, his life behind bars, and his desperate campaign to get free. Sam Bankman-Fried is incarcerated at a federal prison in Lompoc, California, which sits northwest of Santa Barbara and is dubbed the City of Arts and Flowers. Once or twice a week, he calls me, and we talk for the allotted 15 minutes, at which point the line abruptly goes dead. Hey, he'll say brightly when I pick up the phone, a note of forced cheer in his voice that belies his current station in life, as well as what he calls his anhedonia. Oops, hold on. Which is the inability to feel happiness. Even in his Wizard Prince heyday running the cryptocurrency exchange FTX, Bankman-Fried would pliantly chat with journalists about virtually any topic, and he has kept up this agreeable PR strategy in prison. He maintains his innocence and will comprehensively relitigate his case when prompted, but always defers when I ask what he wants to talk about, saying something like, I'm flexible. When I ask to know how his day is going, he'll respond, mostly boring, mostly usual. Sorry. In 2 years since he received a 25-year sentence for fraud and conspiracy, Bankman-Fried has retained many of his pre-prison characteristics. Now as then, he takes meds for clinical depression and ADHD, an MSAM adhesive patch, which he collects in pill line along with his daily dose of Adderall. He is still a vegan on animal welfare grounds, which means he doesn't eat at Chow Hall, instead cobbling together ingredients from the commissary list. For example, dehydrated refried beans at $2.60 a pouch, rice at $1.75 a pack, Goya brown sazon at $2.45 a box, and finding ways to prepare them by his bunk. To that end, he has put together a tongue-in-cheek vegan prison cookbook, which includes instructions such as, if the hot water machine is broken, instead pour in lukewarm water and that tastes a bit odd and microwave it. You will overcook it and it will taste bad. Okay. Even in the understimulating, internet-less environment of prison, Bankman-Fried, 34, has found ways to indulge his old propensity for distracted multitasking. For the cost of about $135 at commissary, he bought a Score 7T tablet. The name sounds for secure commitment to offender reentry and enablement, and it bills itself as a robust, purpose-built lockdown computing device that helps persons in custody pass their time constructively improve themselves, and prepare to re-enter society. On it, one can make purchases from an eclectic selection of entertainment options, like the second movie in the Divergent trilogy or a single season of Chicago Fire. The tablet's gaming options are mostly really dumb, Bankman-Fried says, with the passable exception of being Shattered Pixel Dungeon, which he has now played roughly 6,000 times, almost always as the mage, and according to one of his prison friends, with an unheard of 9 challenges running simultaneously. Often when we are talking on the phone, Bankman-Fried confesses he is on the tablet playing the game just as he was on his computer, half playing Storybook Brawl, and virtually until the moment he was arrested in his Bahamas apartment complex in December 2022. Talking to Bankman-Fried is enjoyable because he is suspicious of experts in conventional wisdom. He's willing to evaluate almost any subject from first principles. At the height of its influence, FTX had endorsement deals with Tom Brady and Steph Curry and held the naming rights to the Miami Heat's arena. I once asked him why he had paid to display FTX patches on the uniforms of the MLB umpires and not the athletes people are watching play. For a TV spectator to notice a logo on some team's uniform, he figured there has to be a player on the right team facing the right direction toward the camera and not moving so fast that it gets blurry. Whereas umpires make great billboards because they just stand there. During another call, Bankman-Fried was arguing that incarceration doesn't effectively rehabilitate criminals. I asked how a society without prisons might disincentivize crime. We could just do what Singapore does, right? Give people like 30 lashes or whatever, he countered. Lashes are pretty bad, and then we don't lose members of society for decades. One day in April, not long after he had arrived at Lompoc, he told me a story. Oreos are one of the more surprisingly vegan foods, he said. When I got here at Lompoc, commissary had Oreos. And there's part of me that was excited about that. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's working. Hi, Sharon Brown. How are you? Sorry if I didn't see you come in. Evil never dies. I know. Doo-doo. I know. Oh, it's going to be so nice. You guys are going to enjoy the view from the new apartment. Yeah. Who said something off color? That's his mic. I don't know. Okay. And then there's another part of me that cringed that was something I cared about. Given I don't enjoy eating Oreos. It's not going to make my life any better. It's such a pale shadow of what the outside was. I suggested that it was okay to get excited about Oreos given the lack of other things he had to get excited about. It isn't that I object to the stimulation from the Oreo, he said. I object to that becoming a thing that I'm training too much of my brain on. I don't want to be replacing important neurons with more duplications of seek out Oreo neurons. That's pretty funny. He pointed me to chapter 22 of Manfred, Chat l'Esponge. Manfred, named for a childhood stuffed animal, is the serialized prison memoir Bankman-Fried has been writing since before his 2023 trial, which he sends to a small cohort of friends and family via the prison email services Core Links. Bankman-Fried's parents had sent me a collated copy of his entries, and then I started receiving entries in real time once he added me to his listserv. Core Links, also referred to as Truelings, allows prisoners to correspond with up to 30 contacts. Chat l'Esponge, much like Manfred, is allegorical and surprisingly humorous considering the subject matter. The chapter imagines a powerful AI trained only on one stupid thing, the characters in SpongeBob SquarePants. So each day you feed ChatGPT's training algorithm terabyte after terabyte of pictures of Patrick the Star and hours upon audio from Squidward's clarinet, and you don't ever feed it any other new data. Quote, and then when you ask ChatGPT what is the best argument against abortion, instead of saying something about the sanctity of life or parents who regret having abortions, it will say, if Patrick were aborted, then SpongeBob would be sad. If you ask what the best electric guitar is, it will respond, Squidward's best clarinet solo came in the 4th season, episode 5, because that is the closest thing to an electric guitar that it still remembers anything about. Bankman-Fried was trying to explain that what crushes him about prison is the reorientation of his mind toward triviality, and therefore the sapping of his latent usefulness as a human being. He didn't want to become Chat l'Esponge. To explain prison life, I'm probably saying that wrong, I apologize. To explain prison life, Bankman-Fried draws on a concept from another TV show, Severance, in which people's identities are severed between their innie work selves and their outie off-work selves. The way Bankman-Fried sees it, to fantasize about something as pedestrian as commissary Oreos is to become a prison innie. And to become a prison innie is to succumb to the world's assessment that he is a criminal. Ooh, ouch, that's the one. Bankman-Fried was convicted of misappropriating roughly $8 billion in FTX customer deposits by plowing them into his hedge fund, Alameda Research, which collapsed. He also was found guilty of defrauding lenders and investors. Bankman-Fried contends all this was mostly a result of an innocent accounting glitch, and that in any case, Alameda was legally allowed to borrow as much as it wanted from FTX. And it wasn't even wrong. Oh my gosh, I'm missing all these quotes. Wait, what's not working? It might have been around the time when Ronna Romney, was hired and back later. Okay, I think you guys are talking about something else. Yeah, deprived of Mr. Bankman-Fried. Wah, wah. Oh, whoops, that's the sound. That's a bad one. Yeah, that's pretty much how we feel about poor old Bankman-Fried. Pseudo-intellectual mediocrity deserves all the anhedonia it can amass. Well, sounds like he's got it in spades. Okay. All right. He was found guilty of defrauding lenders and investors. Bankman-Fried contends this was just an innocent accounting glitch. And we could have done it anyway. It didn't even matter. We had the right to do it. The jury did not buy his argument, deeming him to have engaged in straightforward fraud on a historic scale. The mission of Bankman-Fried's life is now to free himself from prison, either by legal means or presidential pardon. Well, I'm sure he'll do it. These efforts have become conspicuous over the course of Donald Trump's second term, during which Bankman-Fried has unveiled a new identity as a Republican. Oh! Boy, everybody's converting. Oh, it's just conversion central over here. It sounds like he really does enjoy thinking about how deep and effective his thoughts are. He does think a lot of it. There's no anhedonia there. That's true. Oh no. He's a Republican. Last year, he organized an unsanctioned video interview from prison with Tucker Carlson. As punishment, Bankman-Fried was sent briefly to solitary confinement at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, where he was jailed at the time. He's a special charge. Oh my God. After that, he revived his mostly dormant X account through a proxy, his father, Joseph Bankman, who should know better, started using it to post pro-Trump messages and frame himself as a victim of the Biden administration's crackdown on the crypto industry. Meanwhile, Bankman-Fried's mother, Barbara Fried, retired now from teaching at Stanford Law School, has been fighting for his freedom in public. Beginning in the fall, she started posting essays, some lawyerly, some personal, seeking to complicate the case against her son. Lately, she has been getting slapped on the wrist for various desperate motherly infractions. The judge in his case demanded she stop calling his chambers, and prosecutors in New York's Southern District noted a legal motion purportedly mailed by her incarcerated son had in fact been FedExed from a location near her home. Mysterious X accounts agitate for his release, as does an anonymously run website called freesbf.org, whose apparent administrator on X, they go by Sam Bankman-Fried, stopped replying to my DMs when I asked if they could hop on the phone. On June 12th, real-life Bankman-Fried lost his official appeal, narrowing his legal options. Trump's soft spot for felons has created a brazen new class of clemency lobbyists and gives Bankman-Fried hope for a pardon that would have been unthinkable under the administration that prosecuted him. His parents have hired 2 GOP operatives to lobby the administration for his release. There you go. Hello. We just read about this. I wonder which ones are they? Is it Roger Stone? I bet you Roger Stone's one of them. I'll bet you anything. His parents have hired 2 GOP operatives to lobby the administration for his release, and on June 8th, news broke that Bankman-Fried had officially filed a bid for a presidential pardon. On Polymarket, his chances of receiving one before 2027 doubled to about 14%. Yeah, so how much money are we talking? What does it cost in June 2026? Because it seems to change. I think I've heard 2 million, but it seems like that's just so low. Yeah, Mom went on Doris Roberts. God, I hated that show. The typical response to a social media post by Bankman-Fried is some variation of "rot in jail forever, dude." Still, some revisionist SBF commentary has been popping up in mainstream outlets such as CNN and Puck. In May, after Drake dropped a song with the lyric "Samuel Bankman, free all my guys up," Bankman-Fried's account tweeted at him, "When I get out, I can loan you my beanbag chair." To Drake. There you go. This is all making, it all clocks, doesn't it? It all clocks. As of this spring, FTX's estate has dispersed more than $10 billion to victims via bankruptcy proceedings and is sitting on several $1 billion more in recovered assets. As Bankman-Fried has been using his PR offensive to point out, this means a vast majority of defrauded customers are being paid back with interest. He is also egging on the semi-ironic SBF boosters, who now hail him as a venture capital legend based on his pre-downfall portfolio of investments in startups such as Robinhood and Anthropic. The nearly 8% $500 million stake Alameda purchased in the then little-known AI lab in 2021 would now be worth something like $80 billion if it hadn't been sold off in bankruptcy. So he's pointing out, oh yeah, everybody's getting paid back with interest. You tried to take their money. You tried to take their money. Assholes. The SBF story was compelling long before his arrest. The son of academics, Bankman-Fried was a believer in utilitarian philosophy and the star benefactor of the effective altruism movement, which has evolved from its origins in mosquito nets and kidney donation to grander ambitions to prevent pandemics and mitigate the risks of artificial intelligence. In short, to save humanity. The movement sought to solve these problems in part through its earn to give ethos, which involved young idealists reaping profits on Wall Street to maximize their philanthropic potential. Yeah, that's right. Bankman-Fried excelled at the earn part of the equation. At one point, he was declared the richest person in the world under 30, which turned this couch potato with crazy hair into a Democratic mega donor and magazine cover star. He was possessed with the conviction that he was put on earth to sit at a computer and make enough money to personally fund EA's most grandiose goals, whichever politicians might prioritize them. The SBF version of greed is good struck many liberals as a plausibly benevolent worldview. All of it came tumbling down when he was convicted, leaving Bankman-Fried open to accusations that his ethical capitalist persona was, like his sudden conversion to Trumpism, insincere. As fraudsters went, he didn't have Bernie Madoff's fraudois, or Elizabeth Holmes' charismatic founder act, or the bad boy notoriety of Martin Shkreli, or really any of the standard crook vibes that would seem to translate to prison life. His absent-minded tendencies and plushy-like physique suggest physical vulnerability. Yeah, right. What made him dangerous in the eyes of the justice system were the same qualities that underwrote his rise, his unique mind and his conviction in his own ability to determine through high-stakes bets what was right for the world. There's a risk that this man will be in a position to do something very bad in the future, and it's not negligible risk, Judge Lewis Kaplan said at Bankman-Fried's sentencing in March 2024. So in part, my sentence will be for the purpose of disabling him. He has resisted. Yeah, fraudois. How do you say it though? Fraudois. I know it's probably, I'm not saying it right. He has resisted disablement. There's a passage in Manfred in which Bankman-Fried argues against what he calls the anti-cruel line of thinking. There is an undercurrent of people who argue that I should be released from prison in less than 25 years because to do otherwise would be cruel, he writes, summing up this view as SBF should be released at an age where he can still settle down to a quiet life somewhere, they say. Get married, have kids. Write stories sometimes about readjusting to society as an ex-con. Slow down, get off his meds, detox from a frantic working environment. Be healthy and safe. To be clear, he adds, I do think I should be released in less than 25 years, just not on those grounds. Over email, he tells me what is wrong with this line of thinking. It presumes that my goals in life are to find some semblance of personal happiness. Foi dur, thank you. Because he maintains positive. Oh, wait. It presumes that my goals in life are to find some semblance of personal happiness and fulfillment, rather than still trying to have a positive impact on the world. Because he maintains he did nothing wrong, Bankman Fried rejects the idea that the story of his life should follow some standard redemptive arc. Not only does he not wish to exit prison as a changed person, it is more or less his greatest fear. Bankman Fried's first significant experience behind bars came at the Metropolitan Detention Center, a pair of orange and sand-colored buildings in Sunset Park, where he was held from August 2023, shortly before his trial, until March 2025. MDC is sometimes described as one of the worst prisons in the country, full of violent maniacs and abysmal conditions, but the unit Bankman Fried was placed into is a best-case scenario. It's a dorm-style protective custody unit called 4 North, reserved for inmates who might be endangered living among the general population. Celebrities, political figures, cooperating witnesses, and sex offenders. The last two categories representing bad paperwork cases that occupy the lowest social strata in prison life. Often defendants are sent there before they face trial or to await sentencing in one of New York's federal courts. This is where rappers 6ix9ine and Diddy passed through, and where captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro reportedly now lives. What was that movie, Full Metal Jacket? It's almost like the Marine Corps barracks, said Carmine Simpson. Simpson, 31, is an ex-NYPD cop from Long Island who last year was sentenced to 23 years in prison for soliciting sexual images and videos from minors, and is now serving the rest of his term at a low-security prison in Virginia. He was awaiting sentencing in 4 North when Bankman Fried arrived. What was the word? They helped her get removed. Transmogrified? Oh, yeah. Oh, she's at the Pentagon. That's right. That's right. Yes, ethical. No, it's effective altruism. Effective altruism. I don't know. I can't remember now. From Virginia, Simpson mailed me a sketch he drew of the MDC dorm using a blue ballpoint pen on a lined sheet of paper. At the top of the page was a bank of telephones and Core-Links terminals and a kitchenette. Below that, running down the center of the room, were 3 pole-mounted televisions surrounded by tables. To one side of the TVs, there were 10 rows of bunk beds. Simpson estimated the room had capacity for 120 people, but never housed more than about 30. Simpson, Bankman Fried, and eventually Diddy and 6ix9ine were all placed in the same row. On the other side of the TV were sinks, toilet stalls, and showers. Effective, yes. Right, thank you. Inmates were expected to keep their living space tidy, a norm Bankman Fried sometimes struggled to see the point of. Bankman Fried's description of his top bunk: most of the time you can find perched on top a half-eating package of food waiting to be fully consumed, a few dirty dishes, reed Tupperware bowls and plastic spoons, waiting for the nightly or, most nightly washing, the book I read most recently, and the book I'm going to read next. I could note that some of that mess is not actually mine. Those around me often cook on my bunk, sits in the middle of the row, but I mean, usually most of it's mine. Other inmates who overlapped with Bankman Fried in 4 North include Gene Borello, a one-time soldier for the Bonanno crime family, a former Bloods gang member, and a rapper from the Bronx who goes by G-Lock. Miles Guo, hello, the Steve Bannon ally, awaiting sentencing on a fraud conviction. Hello. I think he gets sentenced in September or something, right? Or maybe not. Maybe he doesn't. Juan Orlando Hernandez, the former president of Honduras, who was extradited in 2022 on narco trafficking charges and later pardoned by dump, and a number of less famous inmates who Bankman Fried, Simpson, and others wouldn't tell me the names of, usually claiming they couldn't remember them, but perhaps because of a prison honor code. Along with Hernandez, or El Presidente, as many called him, Simpson was Bankman Fried's best buddy at MDC. They were relative outliers in the unit. For one, many other inmates were gang affiliates. 2, the 3 friends were not spice heads. A sizable percentage of the unit was busy finding ways to smoke K2, a synthetic drug colloquially called spice or deuce. The smell of it was constant. Someone almost died because of these K2 drugs. It was a guy, a very strong guy, and he was with seizures, so they took him quickly to the infirmary, Hernandez recalled on a Zoom call. The drug is smuggled in via liquid droplets on pieces of paper, seemingly by mail or from prison guards or visitors to MDC who find a way to hand it over during visiting hours. Either in the visit they put it in their ass and bring it back, or from an officer, G. Locke explained once in an interview with crypto influencer Tiffany Fong after he was released from MDC. Inmates typically manage to smoke it by using wire pieces or foil to short circuit a battery and ignite the paper. Batteries were valuable commodities as a result. Non-smokers had a relative advantage in that they could trade various prized items to smokers at good rates. Every prison has a currency, often canned mackerel or books of stamps. Mackerel. And MDC ran in large part on individually plastic-wrapped muffins. Muffins became doubly valuable when Spiceheads got the munchies, and Bankman-Fried once managed to trade 2 lowly muffins for a jury-rigged pillow made out of ripped clothes and a mattress innards, which was coveted because pillows are technically not permitted at MDC. Bankman-Fried would never smoke deuce or anything else, but he's sympathetic to those who numb themselves to prison life. I asked Boo why he smokes it, even though it usually causes him to burst into tears, to become paranoid and vomit, Bankman-Fried wrote in the memoir, referring to an inmate by a pseudonym. He said that it was when he thought of his broken relationship with his kids. Despite his fear of becoming an innie, Bankman-Fried found his own ways to wall himself off from reminders of the outside world, which he called cracks in the blinds. In addition to Shattered Pixel Dungeon, Bankman-Fried's form of diversion included a 2-person spades-like card game he and Simpson invented called Churchill and ping-pong matches against Hernandez. Prison boredom also forced Bankman-Fried to abandon his infamous prejudice against books, most of which he believes should be no longer than blog posts. The books he reads are escapist. Relatively early in his incarceration, he estimated that he had read 13 books about Navy SEALs, 27 space operas, 12 fantasy novels, 2 true crime books, and 1 romance novel. Reminders of anything real were unwelcome. Once, Simpson handed Bankman-Fried a copy of Wired that mentioned him. That sucked. I read an article about Elon and Grimes. That sucked too. He was intrigued, if not tempted, by the ways other inmates kept themselves entertained, particularly their gambling on sports that played on prison TVs. One inmate would act as a bookie, placing bets with someone on the outside via prison telephone. It's not a job per se. Usually you make money in a job, but they're thinking and strategizing, Bankman-Fried wrote in Manfred. They're hurriedly thumbing through their handwritten score histories. They're theorizing about who has a hot hand and who is due. And if you saw them out of context, you might think they were devoting their energy to building something great. And yeah, their bets are all bad, but realistically, what are they supposed to be devoting their energy to? They're in prison. Eventually, the correctional officers cracked down on gambling, which, in Bankman-Fried's estimation, spiraled the dorm back into depression and deuce usage. There's no outdoor access at MDC, which means for a year and a half, Bankman-Fried didn't see sky. There is, however, roughly 20 by 20 foot recreational area just off the unit where people would play soccer or basketball, and Bankman-Fried would walk around briskly for exercise. This area was of special interest for a different reason. 4 North is technically housed on the female side of MDC. A parallel women's rec area lies below it. The deck is all indoors, and there's kind of like a small iron gate on the bottom of it. And if you lay down and look, you could see the top of the female grate, and guys would lay there for hours screaming down and trying to talk to their prison girlfriends. I mean, it's so insane. People were having fistfights because they were trying to claim, like, slots. Bankman-Fried didn't have a girlfriend, but he could have had one. He caused a minor sensation by rebuffing the advances of a woman prisoner who sent him letters and tried to flirt with him by sending chess moves his way. He wrote back that he was not interested, which drove all the other guys nuts. He couldn't figure out why, until he realized they didn't want her to stop sending photos of herself, photos that Bankman-Fried ignored and they scooped up to divide among themselves. At that point, I saw true fear strike the heart of a group of very large, very intimidating grown men. Guns, needles, prison knives, these were the reality of their day-to-day lives, Bankman-Fried observed. But the threat of a rare bikini picture in a sea of men being taken back from them was horrible. He engendered an amused fascination among his fellow prisoners. He's a straight vegan. He doesn't eat anything. Hi, Super Salty. How are you? Yeah, I'm just trying to, we're catching up on this piece on Bankman-Fried. Interesting. Yeah, I think he's endemic of a lot of the tech bros. I think he's a scam artist too. He's like he's just a scam artist. He's a Ponzi scheme guy. It's a criminal. But he fits in really well, so he'll do well with it. He's very much like the people like Elmo. You know, there's a lot of these guys that were Democratic leading, and you can read a lot of background on tech bros and how they've evolved, I guess, into being much more, all the poor people should die because there's not enough stuff for all of us, So he, like many of them, have had this arc where they may at one point have kind of liberalist views and all that kind of stuff, but then they just kind of abandon them because what they really want at the end of the day is no accountability, no taxes, no regulations, no justice, right? They need this to have oh good, I'm so glad, Super Salty. Thank you for coming. They need this kind of they need the scam. And so I don't know, it is really interesting to read about these guys and what motivates them and because these are the money characters. Sam Bankman-Fried is now in prison, but at the same time, a lot of influence. He has a lot of influence in the world of venture capital and how money moves through the system. And that factors into politics too. So all these things are interrelated, unfortunately. Okay, let's see here. He engendered an amused fascination among his fellow prisoners. He's a straight vegan. He doesn't eat anything unless it's rice and beans or peanut butter and jelly, which is his favorite. He eats it all day. He can't stop eating it, G-Lock told Fong. 10, 15 sandwiches a day. Inmates tend to describe Bankman-Fried as an appealingly placid character. You tell him, yo, Sam, you bust an ass at ping pong. He'll be like, yep, G-Lock said. Bankman-Fried is adept at racket sports. See example for this fawning profile. Yeah, exactly. And many respected him on billionaire grounds alone, bombarding him with predictable questions about crypto and investing, and felt protective of their awkward new friend. How can y'all give somebody life that you can't even make eye contact with, said G-Lock. What do y'all think? He's some kind of gangster? He's not a patsy. Oh no, he's a pretty smart guy. He's a pretty smart guy. He's not, I don't know if he's money laundering either. I think he was literally just trying to take people's money. I'm pretty sure he was just trying to take people's money. But yeah, maybe I'm sure money laundering at some level. He earned goodwill by helping inmates prepare for trial or otherwise work on cases he felt their lawyers were screwing up. Hi, Oren. Oh. He felt their lawyers were screwing up. He drafted questions for Hernandez lawyers to ask witnesses, most of which they did not use. Helped a drug dealer named Jesus Carrasco file a Rule 33 motion for a new trial, and encouraged Simpson to try to claw back the length of his sentence. We use a word in Spanish, we say servicial, meaning that he helps everybody, Hernandez said. Bonjour. A long-running leitmotif in Bankman-Fried's life is his feeling that professionals are too hidebound or risk-averse to be trusted. In Manfred, he refers to it's, you know what? There's no risk when you just take the money, is there, Sammy? Okay, sweetheart. You're drinking your own Kool-Aid. All right there? Okay, SBF. Of course there's no risk when you're fucking stealing the money. Come on, let's stop this. Stop this. This guy is not a teal for, you're not sure? Okay, well, you should watch my show, Super Salty, because I literally have many friends and we all spend time looking into these guys. And the information is out there. But, yeah, teal is, what, I don't know. They're all a bunch of, that's what they want. That's what they want, Super Salty. I mean, come on now. They're saying it, okay? This is how all the legislation is being crafted in order to create those conditions. No taxes, no accountability, no regulation, But they don't have the risk of prison. They don't. I mean, look what happened. You can get away with it. They let you grab them by the pussy because you're famous. There's a lot of guys getting away with some shit, right? Bankman-Fried was put in he was put in prison by the Biden administration. This guy keeps pardoning all these criminals. Justin Sun. Just Google Justin Sun. There you go. Okay. But yeah. They don't care about prison. This is why they're working so hard to deconstruct a lot of the, constitutional protections and stuff, because they don't want those things. It's an end of liberalism. Okay. In Manfred, he refers to his prison friends' attorneys with sardonic names like Chuck the Real Lawyer and Pablo the Overworked Public Defender. He writes repeatedly about his frustration with those who elect not to take a huge gamble when taking a huge gamble might be the only thing that improves the long odds, much as Bankman-Fried did when he testified in his own defense, equivocating and filibustering in maddeningly pedantic ways, a disastrous performance he doesn't regret. Bankman-Fried became further radicalized against the Department of Justice during his time at MDC. Well, now he shouldn't, because Turd will be there to help him, I'm sure. Turd loves criminals. Okay. He came to believe the DOJ had wrongfully prosecuted Hernandez and Diddy. No, he's not been pardoned yet. He's just put in for a pardon. He just put in for an official presidential pardon, and there's a couple people lobbying for one. So he'll probably get one. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if he did. Let's put it that way. And he's becoming more Trumpy as he goes along so that he can look, I agree with you guys. Whereas before he didn't even give a shit. Whose infamous freak-offs Bankman-Fried was suspicious merited the federal RICO charges the feds brought against him. Diddy's jury agreed, and although he was still convicted of lesser charges. For a while, Bankman-Fried wondered why he was meeting so many conspiracy theorists in prison. Eventually, he decided that they had good reason to distrust the system. Can't beat him, join him, Sam. I have a feeling he's probably going to get pardoned. I wouldn't be, again, I just wouldn't be shocked. But he's got access to he still has access to a lot of money too, Super Salty, right? So he's not outlasted his usefulness to this regime, if you will, and just the political machinations of the Republican Party, if in essence. He's not lost his usefulness, so it's worth it for them to pardon him, right? Because he's part of their world. Sam wants to be where the people are. He wants to be there dancing. And so he'll go the ball with anybody that'll take him. As he wrote me in an email, many of the inmates have, in fact, quite literally been the target of a multi-agency government conspiracy. So their priors are shaped by that. Well, so what is it? Is it a government conspiracy, or is it, I mean, come on, pick a lane. Pick a lane. He was living in Fort North before and after his trial. In early 2024, as he awaited sentencing, prosecutors got a hold of a document Bankman-Fried had written while on house arrest, outlining potential strategies to tilt public opinion in his favor. It was titled, quote, "Note, these are all random, probably bad ideas that aren't vetted. Confidential." Potential gambits included, go on Tucker Carlson, come out as a Republican, come out against the woke agenda, focus almost exclusively on the fact that we could give value back to customers and the Chapter 11 team is destroying it. See, he still thinks he can do it. Come out as extremely pro-crypto, pro-freedom. Okay, you know what pro-freedom means in relation to pro-crypto? No regulations. That's what it means. That's what freedom means. Freedom to Ponzi scheme. Freedom to rob people. That's what he wants. They're not silent about it. This isn't like, I don't have to dig deep to find this. Like, they say what they want. They create legislation towards what they want. Yes, he certainly has enough money to buy. Yes, he does. Oh, trust me. They're still sitting. I mean, FTX is still sitting on a bunch of money. MDC wasn't a bad place to start plotting his release for the mundane reason that there he had access to a laptop for 30 hours a week to work on his appeal, as well as a discovery computer in the unit to review case files, privileges that likely wouldn't be available at ordinary prisons. After sentencing, his lawyers made the unusual request of asking the court to let him stay at MDC while he worked on his appeal. As he wrote in his memoir, quote, "If I have to choose between better food and more access to my legal work, bring on the rice and beans." Although I think he really enjoyed the rice and beans. There he is. Yeah, he was on Tucker Carlson. Weird. Contributed to Democrats. But, it doesn't, no. See, the thing is, Salty, I think the one thing about the people making donations to Democrats and Republicans is people do that for political convenience, not because ideologically they share the same. You know what I mean? Like, even if you think about Reid Hoffman, who's the head of Netflix, for example, he donated to both Trump and to Kamala, right? So I think we have to stop thinking of, oh, he donated to this person, he must be a X. That's really not how it works at the money level that we're talking about, right? For the money level, it really comes down to who's going to do what I need them to do. It's influence, right? So it's not really, I don't, yeah. Yeah, there's many examples of people you would ask yourself that question, like, why would this administration pardon them? There's a few people you might ask yourself that question, and it has much to do with the fact that it's all around influence and less about ideology, right? Ideology isn't, there are some parts of ideology that influence these guys, but it's more about, I want it all for me and none for them, right? That's where it's like the attacks on Social Security and other programs like that, like food stamps and other things. That's because from a standpoint of this strata, right? These guys, the Sam Bankman-Frieds of the world, what they really want is just, they don't want to fight for resources, right? They want to stack the deck. This guy's already proven that's who he is. We don't have to guess. We don't have to wonder if he's that type of person. He's already proven. He knew he could take advantage of this, and he did. And then he got caught. And then he went to jail, which is what happens. And it's supposed to stop you. The threat of going to jail is supposed to stop you from doing these things in the first place. But it didn't. And now he sees advantage in saying the right things and going on Tucker Carlson because, again, ideology doesn't mean anything. It's not. There's no ideology there. So different strata. Let's see. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Speaking of Disney, did you notice Morocco's national anthem is a jaunty little number that sounds like it's from a Disney? I didn't notice that. I didn't hear their national anthem. Aw. Oh, how did Cape Verde do yesterday? Did they lose or did they win? I was rooting for Cape Verde yesterday, but I didn't see the end of the game. I should look that up. I sat next to some real Irish guys yesterday, man. Northern Ireland. Oh, Republicans. I get the influence Trump donated primary to Democrats because I don't think this administration will pardon, but I certainly say, yeah, okay. Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Cape Verde. They tied. Well, that's really good, actually. I think that's good. I think it was 0, right? It was 2-2. Fuck yeah. Good for them. Go Cape Verde. Go Cape Verde. Go Cape Verde. Go Cape Verde. Well, I'm Salty. I appreciate what you're saying. I can't say that because I don't do all statements. I don't believe in all statements. I believe in there certainly are a lot of people who are corrupt and power does corrupt, blah, 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 blah. At the same time, there are good people in politics. So that's kind of a cop-out, right? That's kind of a cop-out. I don't know. I mean, because they're just people like you and me. But power and money does corrupt. Yes. It's hard. It's hard to turn away from that shit, right? But you have to. Because that's what's right. Servant leaders. Demand servant leaders. That's a thing. Look it up. Google it. Okay. Bankman-Fried remained in Brooklyn through the 2024 election and into almost all. Yeah. I just don't make blanket statements because that's not true. Not all politicians are corrupt. There's some really great Democrats. I watch Democrats almost every day that they're in session. I think I watch Democrats and Republicans in Congress more than a lot of people on these streets. And I know for a fact that there are really good people in Congress. Not enough, but there's some really good people there. And you kind of gotta dance with the person who brung you to the dance. And then if you don't, then ask a different girl or guy next time. Politics with Lolo. All right, Bankman-Fried remained in Brooklyn through the 2024 election and into the first few months of Trump's second term. The president's crypto-friendly, pardon-happy start had invigorated his quest to get free. Along with January 6 defendants, one of Dump's first pardon recipients was the first-generation cryptocurrency outlaw Ross Ulbricht. Oh, here you go. Salty, you'll get a little background on this. Look up Ross Ulbricht. Actually, you might like him. I don't know. He ran Silk Road, child trafficking Silk Road, Okay, can we talk about that for a minute? Because, actually Don Jr. Is friends with Russ Ulbricht. Look up Russ Ulbricht. He ran a child trafficking website and they pardoned him. Okay, with great fanfare, I might add. Okay. Just saying. That's right. They're pretty much letting us know how they feel. In March 2025, Bankman-Fried pulled off his Tucker Carlson interview with technology typically used for legal conferences. Oopsie. There was a side benefit to staying as long. Oh, wait, I already read this. I see. There was a side benefit to staying as long as possible at MDC. The more years someone has left to serve, the higher security prison they're sent to. When MDC finally sent him packing after the Carlson appearance, Bankman-Fried had shaved off just enough time to avoid a more violent prison, winding up instead at a low-security facility in Southern California, FCI Terminal Island. The day Bankman-Fried arrived, Rene Ruiz had no idea who he was. I see Sam carrying his mattress, looking distraught, out of it, his hair all messed up, said Ruiz, a longtime member of the Vagos, a biker gang who has spent most of his adult life in and out of jail. It's an old beat-up mattress, 3 by 8 foot. It looks like one of those dog things. He's got that over his shoulder, struggling, has a mesh bag with all his clothes. Terminal Island is located in San Pedro, near the port of Long Beach. Sam Bankman-Fried remained there for a year until it shut down this spring owing to failing infrastructure. The prison was divided into north and south sections. Bankman-Fried lived in a dorm-style unit on the north side and spent much of his time on the rec yards of the south side, which faced Princess and Royal Caribbean cruise ships and featured baseball fields, pickleball and basketball courts, a running track, a weight pile, a hobby room, and a library. In some of the dorms, seals and dolphins were visible from the windows by the inmates' bunks. There you go. There you go. I don't have any influence either. There you go, Salty. We're in the same boat on that one. I have zero influence. Ruiz, 58, had landed at TI for the felony of assaulting a federal officer. He is now out of prison, living in the San Diego area. He went by Superman and acted as a self-appointed majordomo to the local population, specializing in acclimating new or high-profile inmates by fixing them dinner or tailoring their clothes or whatever they needed. I took care of Michael Avenatti. I took care of Sonny Balwani. He was the one who made that blood test. Balwani is Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes' former business partner and ex-boyfriend. Avenatti is Stormy Daniels' now disbarred lawyer. He says, "Hi, I'm Sam," Ruiz remembers, and I asked him, "Are you a toucher or a clicker?" Terminal Island housed a lot of white-collar criminals, but inmates estimate that a plurality of its nearly 1,000 person population was there for sex offenses. I forgot. Ross Ulbricht. Silk Road. He founded Silk Road. And it was a high profile pardon that he got from Dump. And it was really, he's part of the whole crypto bro kind of Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump and all those guys. Yes, Mr. Ruiz accepts Venmo. Okay. Not knowing who Bankman-Fried was yet, Ruiz needed to ascertain if he was a chomo, aka sex offender, and if so, which type. Was he in for child pornography, a clicker, or had he also committed sexual acts? Toucher. Sam didn't know what I was talking about, Ruiz says. Bankman-Fried was about to get introduced to prison politics. 4 North was highly unusual in its lack of tribal hierarchies. At Terminal Island, as in many federal pens, virtually every aspect of day-to-day life was structured according to what racial group or car you belong to, as in who you ride with. These were not criminal organizations like MS-13 or Latin Kings, but literally just groups of people organized by race. While each car had its own personality, a common rule among all of them was never to fraternize with bad paperwork cases, and that included sex offenders of any kind. There are only 3 cars that really matter, according to Ruiz. There's the Woods, which is the white car. A name derives from Pecker Woods, originally a derogatory name for poor whites, since reclaimed by white supremacist gangs. There are the Sureños, also known as the Southsiders or Homies, which is what Ruiz belonged to. And there are English-speaking Hispanics. These are English-speaking Hispanics. Finally, there is the black car. Lower down Ruiz's social hierarchy are Paisas, a large group of chiefly composed of Spanish-speaking immigrants, and then the smaller cars, Asian and Pacific Islander, Muslim, and Native American. The Chomos fraternized mostly among themselves out of necessity. There were also the Independents, a car of people who refused to join the main cars. Being independent meant missing out on certain privileges, such as being able to watch television, since each of the prison TV's rooms is controlled by a different car. By default, the prison bunked Bankman-Fried with a Wood. Deprived of his meds for the first few weeks, he basically sat on his bed staring into space and neglected to eat, according to Ruiz. He was looking really bad, you know. Ruiz scored vegetables from his buddies in the kitchen and started cooking food for Bankman-Fried. I know, isn't it crazy? Using the bottom of an iron. He also screened his mail. He was getting a nice stack, at least 7 a day from strangers, people asking for interviews, people from Canada, really weird, like helter-skelter people cutting letters out of magazines, Ruiz said. People were telling him they lost their inheritance or their kids invested in him. TI was virtually by any measure a more pleasant prison than MDC. Great weather, a view of the ocean, actual outdoor space. But Bankman-Fried still preferred MDC with its access to a laptop. At TI, nobody gets a laptop, so his life revolved around trying to visit one of 2 Core-Link's TrueLink stations, which was made complicated by the set times of day during which he could make a move when inmates are allowed to walk from one part of the prison to another. He broke down his routine for me. 6:05 a.m. wake up, 6:15 a.m. pill line, 6:40 a.m. back to bed, toss and turn, read a little, 8 a.m. go to layover TrueLinks, 8:10 return to unit, lie down, read some, 9 to 9:10 move, go to recreation, 9:10 to 9:25 TrueLinks, 9:25 to 9:40 walk around yard daydream, 9:40 to 9:55 TrueLinks, etc. Ross Ulbricht's personal net year says, following his release, although his deal dark web marketplace once accumulate. Yes, that's the guy. That's him. He's the darling of the libertarian movement. They love Russ Ulbricht. He's like, don't tread on me. Let me traffic children. Let me trade child porn. Yeah, he's a great guy. He used core links to correspond with his network, whose other members he did not disclose to me, and draft Manfred chapters. Last fall from Terminal Island, he ramped up his posting on X. Typical post. S&P 500 hit another ATH all-time high yesterday. 73.65, blah, blah, blah. Since Donald Dump's second inauguration, how about same point in Biden's term? Plus. Oops. Sorry. We got a little blip there. We blipped. He's cagey about any activity related to his pardon striptease, as Puck's William D. Cohen put it. As best I can tell, he's got a Pony Express-like method in which he core links his drafts of an ex-post to his father, who posts them on his behalf, then sends him back various replies. Yeah, he's a big libertarian fanboy. Who posts them on his behalf, then sends him back various replies to engage with. Throughout the past year, in a blizzard of activity, he also drafted a document called Where Did the Money Go?, designed to bolster his long-standing argument that FTX was in fact solvent. It's revisionist history, I think, is what we're talking about. In his telling, FTX merely faced a temporary liquidity crisis akin to a bank run. Hello. And he could have paid more users back their missing billions if given only a bit more time to secure investors. Okay, so that's what a Ponzi scheme is. Okay. Oh my God. When you are taking investor money to pay other investor money, okay, that's a Ponzi scheme. That's a pyramid scheme. Okay, that's like I hope it's not either. I could have kept my. This is it. Thank you, Dan. This is what he's. I could have kept my Ponzi scheme alive if I just had more investors. Because he's taking money to pay. It's robbing Peter to pay Paul, if you want me to put it biblically. Okay. All right. Yeah, you do that. You do that. You do that. Definitely. Double check my work. Okay. Throughout the past year in a okay, if I just had more time to secure investors or maybe sell off assets stashed in this coin or under that rock. Oh my God. Only he claims he could have done it in mere weeks, not the several years it has taken FTX's estate. Oops. Oh, I guess they've tried and they haven't had the magic formula. I guess they don't get any core links from him, do they? Mr. Bankman-Fried conveniently skips over the fact that he took client money without consent. Yeah, hello, says a spokesperson for the fucking FTX estate. He has refused to accept any responsibility for the damage he caused. Yeah. He also worked on a pro se motion for a new trial and a judge that included an affidavit by FTX's then head of data science, who made the same argument. Bankman-Fried also alleges that Sullivan and Cromwell, one of the firms retained by FTX, we would have been fine in the long run. Bernie Madoff. It's so true. I just needed another week. Oh boy. Sullivan. Oh wait. Wait, we got here. Sullivan and Cromwell, one of the firms retained by FTX as outside counsel, helped the prosecution investigate him, and then inappropriately profited by turning around and running the bankruptcy, a framing that some journalists and legal observers have found credible. Sullivan and Cromwell spokesman strongly denies it, saying the accusations have been thoroughly investigated and debunked. So get out of town. This is all in addition to his official appeal, which Bankman-Fried argued Judge Kaplan unfairly blocked his lawyers from presenting evidence for some of these claims at trial. In one of her Substack posts, Barbara Fried would lay out a case that Kaplan was biased against her son from the start. Yeah, it's a mad judge. It's not the law. Okay? It's just a cranky old judge. Oh no, a power plant. Oh no. I don't want to think. Leave Greenland alone. Kaplan's hatred. Wait, we got to do this.
Kaplan's hatred of Sam was instantaneous, visceral, and immune to facts and reason. You know, a lot like judges do. They're all just feelings. The feelings judges, yeah, and the snotty, and they're snotty. Yeah, and nobody puts my baby in a corner. Okay, he was Captain Ahab, and Sam was his Moby Dick, an avatar of evil, rather than a real-life human being who stole billions of dollars from people. I mean, I know he stole stuff, but I mean, come on now. Like, can we just say sorry? I mean, we'll give you the money back, and then what's a big okay? Is that okay? Can we just do that? Because I'm his mommy, and I would like him to come home now. Because I don't have a new Gucci bag, and I need a new Gucci bag. And so I need my son to come home and buy me a new Gucci bag. Okay, thanks, bye.
All right, that was her. Kaplan is also the judge who presided over E. Jean Carroll's civil sexual assault case against Dump, a fact Bankman-Fried hopes the president will notice. You see, it just doesn't matter. Nothing really matters. Anyone can see. Nothing really matters. Nothing really matters to me. Bankman-Fried's constant core linking became a subject of bemusement at Terminal Island. I was like, all you got to worry about right now is to relax. You can't do nothing if your $1 billion couldn't do nothing, says Ruiz. He was always writing down numbers, always working on something. Don't know what the hell he was doing. I used to call him Rain Man. David Bunavach, I'm not sure, 57, an entrepreneur from Calabasas, California, met Bankman-Fried at TI while serving a 17-and-a-half-year sentence for defrauding investors in a cannabis startup. He told me, I don't think he has come full circle with the understanding that he has a decade more to do in prison. It will probably be closer to 20 years, minus any time he could get shaved off for good behavior and other sentence reduction credits he accrues. Bankman-Fried, of course, felt Ruiz's suggestion was indicative of any tendencies. Almost every inmate gives me that advice, that I should focus more on just building a good life in prison, on getting comfortable, etc., rather than on fighting my case, he wrote a few weeks into his time at Terminal Island. He added, and similar to that, I almost never hear from prisoners expressing the hopelessness or despair I expect many of them feel. Sometimes they talk about how in the past they did, but always in the context, but then I figured out how to do better in prison. Bankman-Fried estimates he spends 1 or 2 hours a day playing cards, usually Magic the Gathering inspired game called Mindbug. I learned from TI's Mindbug Click that the gameplay material was mailed in by Adam Yedidia, Bankman-Fried's best friend at MIT and one of the FTX employees who testified against him at trial. Yedidia is the only FTX figure I learned of who has visited Bankman-Fried in prison. At Terminal Island, Bankman-Fried taught a chess class and pickleballed compulsively. As Bankman-Fried acclimated to life there, everyone wanted to know what car he'd join. Initially, the Woods claimed him, which wasn't an ideal arrangement. Look at the people that are in that car. They've got their whole face covered with tattoos, and they like smoke dope. Are you kidding me? Sam's a nerd. That's not the right choice for him, said one TI friend who wished to stay anonymous to not piss off Woods at his new prison. One time, Bankman-Fried woke up freezing and realized his window pane was missing. It turned out his Wood bunkmate had sold it for deuce. He would eat his food, he would take his shit, he would sell it for deuce, and Sam never said anything, the TI friend said. I was so angry one day, and I'm like, are you fucking serious? This has been going on for how long, Sam? And he's like, man, it's like $5 or $10 a day. What's that compared to the $20 billion the government took from me? Someone just doesn't get it. Someone just doesn't get it. Hi, Vicky. How are you, darling? Yikes. You also had to follow a car's rules to belong to it. Even a low security prison's arbitrary seeming rules where you could use core links for how long, what times of day you needed to be wearing long pants, never stopped chafing at Bankman-Fried. Car strictures would demand even more conformity. One day, Sam was playing pickleball and there were some sex offenders playing, said Jason Riggs, who served a brief term at TI after being convicted in 2023 for dealing LSD and ran independent. He was confronted by the Woods. He didn't like the way that he was confronted. He didn't quite know the rules. The fact that Bankman-Fried played chess with members of the Black Car had also caused tension with the Woods. He decided to run independent. So that was a big deal, said Bunavach, a Wood who was the lead clerk at TI's recreation center. It's like, you're a white dude. You have clean paper. I mean, you didn't tell on anyone. You're not a sex offender, so you should be with us. And he said, no, I might just do my own thing. And that's Sam. Nobody seemed to resent him too much for his decision. Bunavach ended up getting him an undermanding job, filling out payroll timesheets for the rec department, and the two of them teamed up to win a TI pickleball tournament. Well, it just sounds really pleasant. I'm so glad. I wouldn't want Sam Bankman-Fried to miss his pickleball. One of the interesting things about talking to people who served with Bankman-Fried is how much more they like him compared to people on the outside. Avenatti and I were very close friends, and we would just sit back and watch all these guys suck up to Sam like he was a demigod, Bunevach says. Sam always walked the track by himself, and then it was like that scene in Rocky 2 where Rocky's going up the steps and all these people start to run behind him. One inmate named Jason Todd Mogler got wind of my reporting and sent me a rapturous 1,619-word essay titled Walking the Yard with Sam Bankman-Fried, the man behind the headlines. Rene Ruiz eventually bought Bankman-Fried a pair of sunglasses so that he could ignore people on the yard more politely. It wasn't just his unassuming personality and billionaire cachet his prison buddies were drawn to, but the unusual way his mind worked. One of the Mindbug crew, John McLaughlin, 49, serving for drug-related offenses, says his time with Bankman-Fried was transformational, teaching him to think more deliberately and analytically. I'm not going to comment here on actual technical guilt because it's irrelevant to me, he told me, but he was sure Bankman-Fried's intentions were good. He's just entirely too rational to ever consciously choose a path of self-destruction. Okay, well, thanks, John. It means a ton. Naturally, not everybody in prison was so charmed. Bunevach, I don't know how to say that. Avenatti and Bankman-Fried were cordial, but never friends. Mike's a very, how do I put it, in-your-face type of guy, and Sam's the complete opposite. In between pickleball sets, he'd be reading a book in a corner by himself. According to Bunevach, Avenatti recommended he not just read Michael Lewis's sympathetic book about Bankman-Fried, Going Infinite, but Bloomberg journalist Zeke Fo's more skeptical treatment of SBF and the crypto industry, Number Go Up. Avenatti recently went public with his critiques on X, claiming misleadingly that he and Bankman-Fried were bunkmates. TI sources say this was true only for a day or two, and accusing him of acting aloof from prison life. In his mind, he was never actually one of us. The rules, the labels, the consequences, those were for us little people, Avenatti posted. Oh, okay, Avenatti. Chris Lazenby, 35, was released from Terminal Island after serving close to 7 years for dealing drugs on the dark web. I know there's this cliche of in prison, everyone claims their innocence. In reality, it's super rare. 99% of people admit the crime they did, Lazenby says. The people who say they're innocent are sort of laughed at or not really believed. As smart as he is, I just don't buy that he had no knowledge of what was going on. That effective altruism, this modern day technocratic Robin Hood figure, I just don't buy it. So there you go. I have a lot of thoughts on the Libertarian Party. I think they're dumb. I think they're relatively whiny and don't want to help anybody. And that's just not who I am. I believe that there is a role for government to play to help us and to help everyone have at least a base level of dignity in their lives. So that's why I disagree with the libertarians. But yeah, and a lot of them are incels, and they just don't want to be held accountable. They don't want rules. They're like, don't tell me what to do, in a bad way. You know, like they don't want any kind of structure. They're anarchists, really. I mean, if you think about it. If you really want the anarchists, actually, I shouldn't say that because anarchists would probably be mad about being compared to libertarians. This looks like a drawing of the prison cell where he was in. Libertarians are Republicans that like weed. Yes, this actually is the best way to say it. Yeah. And they don't, although I guess I don't know how libertarians are on like life issues or bodily autonomy. I think they here's the problem. Part of them wants bodily autonomy, like, don't make me wear a mask, you know. But then at the same time, they'll take away bodily autonomy from, say, women or birthing people that want to find access to safe abortion. All of a sudden, then it's like, it's not your body. You can't make that choice. So what is it? I mean, that's my point. I mean, pick a lane, you know. Like, I do think you have to mask during a public health. I mean, but those are two different very things. Those are not the same. One of these things are not like the other. Anyway, that's what I think about libertarians. Bankman-Fried was accused of stealing customer money in two ways. First, in spring of 2022, a couple of crypto coins called Terra and Luna collapsed, tanking the market and biting a chunk out of Alameda's value. When some of Alameda's lenders asked for their money back, Alameda didn't have the cash. Instead, it drew on a privileged, effectively unlimited line of credit it kept at FTX, using a few billion in customer deposits to pay back the loans. An act of borrowing, Bankman-Fried insisted, was legally permitted by the terms of the exchange. Alameda CEO Carolyn Ellison, Bankman-Fried's ex-girlfriend, testified at trial that he instructed her to mask Alameda's debt to FTX customers by fudging a bunch of balance sheets. Second, early in FTX's life, legitimate banks didn't want anything to do with cryptocurrency, so FTX had customers wire deposits to Alameda, which was able to open a bank account. Eventually, FTX got its own bank accounts, and both Alameda and FTX became very valuable. Bankman-Fried says he literally lost track of the money from the old account, which added up to about $8 billion. He insists this oopsie also qualified as legal borrowing. But by the time many of FTX's depositors tried to get their money back in November of 2022, it wasn't there. Alameda had seemingly spent the funds on crypto tokens or real estate or political donations or its venture investments. Michael Lewis called this hopelessly commingled pot of money the Bank of Sam. This bank invested in far riskier assets than banks typically buy. It was totally unregulated. It had no deposit insurance or other protections usually offered to customers, and its depositors were unaware of the bank's existence. And then it failed. At trial, the prosecution argued that it was implausible this awesomely brilliant MIT math nerd could have simply misplaced so many dollars. But many of his new prison friends hear this general story and feel it comports with their view that Bankman-Fried didn't possess criminal intent in a malicious sense. He took money from one company and wired it to another without asking permission, and then used it to buy a bunch of coins or whatever. Is that basically it? Bunavach asks. That's exactly his personality. He is definitely not the type of person that's going to try and enhance himself as far as, jewelry or houses or stockpiling cash in his house. No, he'll just take other people's money. Okay? Yeah, exactly. Libertarianism, this is a good way to put it too, is the political philosophy of spoiled toddlers. I want it now. They're all the Veruca Salts. Veruca Salt was a libertarian. Let's put it that way. He is definitely not the type. Okay, blah, 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 blah. They also wonder if he could really have just lost $8 billion of other people's money. He has no organization skills whatsoever, says Ruiz, who, in addition to cooking for Bankman-Fried and sorting his mail, tidied his locker for him. For his prison job at the rec department, Bankman-Fried was paid $5.25 a month. According to Bunavach, he never remembered to come to work. I would always have to go out and grab him on the pickleball court, which is right outside my office, and say, hey, Sam, I need you to come in here and do payroll. He'd be like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. He's like a kid in a lot of ways. I've never met quite anyone like him in that street smarts, common sense wise. It's not really there. Wow. Okay, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to get a little spicy here. I think this guy pulled the wool over these prison friends. Okay. I think he pulled the wool over the eyes of these prison dudes. Because I think this is a lazy rich guy. Okay? He's not, he's acting dumb. Okay? He's not dumb. He's not space cadetted. He's not any of those things. He knows exactly what the fuck he's doing. And I am sick to death of trying to canonize these guys in some way that they're just either so, so creative and intelligent that they're just not, you shouldn't hold them to normal standards of behavior. Bullshit. Wake up. Yeah. Mine. Pepper, good morning. Good morning, Pepper Zaldino. All right, let's see. As for Bankman-Fried's insistence that the missing money was always somewhere, FTX customers are in fact being made whole, bolstering his claims that the Bank of Sam was not as broke as it looked. At the same time, his crypto stash and venture investments may be valuable now, but they weren't when his depositors asked for their money back. It is partly thanks to the post-SBF boom in crypto prices. Hello? Jesus Christ. That FTX's estate has ballooned in value, rightly, which is not something that Sam Bankman-Fried could controlled, foretold, any of those things. Okay? He's lying to you. He's a fucking flim-flam man. Jesus Christ. I don't know, New York Magazine. I don't know if your author isn't getting to the bottom line here, you better bring it home soon. Okay. At the same time, his crypto stash and venture investments may be valuable now, but they weren't when his depositors asked for their money back. Okay. Rightly or wrongly, the matter of FTX's solvency is probably legally moot. At trial, the court ruled that it was immaterial if customers eventually got repaid. Yeah, that's right. That's not the point of a criminal trial. Jesus Christ. Kaplan argued at Bankman-Fried's sentencing hearing that a thief who steals a bunch of money and then makes a fortune gambling it in Vegas isn't any less of a thief. God damn. Bankman-Fried's real hope is to convince a different judge, perhaps even on the Supreme Court. Or someone in the White House. That his punishment no longer fits the crime. In July, Bankman-Fried walked over to a baseball diamond on Terminal Island where a kickball game was in progress. After watching for a while, he decided the smart play was to weakly bunt the ball to third base because the fielder would probably chuck it into the right field trying to peg the runner from across the diamond. Except bunting looked pathetic, so inmates kept trying to kick the shit out of the ball, invariably resulting in useless pop-ups. Here was one of Bankman-Fried's favorite topics, the vanities and blind spots and social pressures that make people act against their own interests. It's a theme he returns to repeatedly in Manfred, almost to the point of mania. A few weeks after the kickball game, he wrote with frustration about a warrior in a science fantasy novel who ends up accidentally causing the death of 1 billion people by doing misguidedly noble things, like prioritizing his family over everybody else. He probably should never be released. In another he shouldn't be so influential. In another passage, he critiques hypothetical animal welfare advocates for refusing to work high-paying jobs that would allow them to give more to animal welfare causes as he had. This is the idea fixe that undergirds Bankman-Fried's utilitarian worldview. Outcomes over process, no matter how unseemly the process. And this is the theme we hear with tech bros over and over. Outcomes over process. Move fast and break things. It is written on the wall in the lobby in Facebook. It is in the lobby of Facebook. Move fast and break things. That is what these guys are into. Hi, Carrie. How are you? We read a little bit, Carrie, earlier about the UK, about little Mr. Starmer. Mr. Starmer stepping down. Oh, yeah. Wonder how you feel about today's news, Carrie. Now you're thinking about that. There are two schools of thought when it comes to role Bankman-Fried's philosophy played in his downfall. The first school says it was all a smokescreen to mask ordinary motives like power and influence. The second school, more compelling as Greek tragedy, says that Bankman-Fried was the victim of his own moral framework. Oh, you did? Oh, no, it wasn't very long. I'll include it. But yeah, we were just reading about that. In this telling, he regarded innocent FTX depositors or burdensome accounting practices as stick figures in a trolley problem, whom he would toss onto the tracks if he decided doing so might improve the universe down the line. Meh. Here's a UK opinion on the Keir Starmer kerfuffle. Meh. Meh. Have not used Farcebook since 2009, but heard it's gotten more. I don't know. I left it in 2007, so I don't know. The second school, more compelling as Greek tragedy, says that Bankman-Fried was the victim of his own moral framework. God damn it, I keep reading the same thing. I'm so sorry. At trial, a picture emerged of the crime he committed, not in spite of Bankman-Fried's altruistic pose, but as the logical extension of his belief system. Bankman-Fried, for what it's worth, rejects both schools of thought. When I asked about whether EA-driven proclivity for big risky bets led him down the path to fraud, He returned to his bottom line. He never risked anybody else's money because he never lost anybody's money. There you go. That was Steve. Oh, Steve Jobs. Yeah. Yeah, it's true, but it's literally, I don't know much about the prince. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I've been at Facebook. I've been at Facebook in Mountain View, and literally move fast and break things is on the wall behind the front desk or one of the main desks. Anyway. Oh. And yeah, Steve Jobs, I guess, I don't know. He broke things too. I guess. And now I think back on Steve Jobs and go, oh, like nostalgia. And yet, he was just as bad as all of them. I always thought he was the biggest dick, but now it's like, hold my beer, man. Hold my adrenochrome, because yeah, they want to live forever. Okay. In a way, Bankman-Fried is living out a utilitarian thought experiment. On the one hand, he's eager to combat the public perception that he's an amoral, dishonest person, which is why he agreed to talk to a journalist willing to sift through his prison memoir and speak to his prison friends. On the other hand, he's laying on thick his appreciation of dump to maximize his chances of clemency. If Bankman-Fried truly believes that's his best chance to do good in the world is to get himself out of prison, but can do so only by pretending he's MAGA, what's the right thing to do? His bind becomes obvious when our conversations turn to politics. I asked his opinion of America's war on Iran. He replied, mostly it seems like if you're going to go after Iran, this is a smart way to do it. Surgical, effective, quick, not as much long-term bogging down or casualties as other approaches. Yeah, except for it's not over. And we lost. And we have less now than we did yeah. Yeah, so not that. Zoran Mamdani, don't know the details because of lack of info in here, but generally socialist candidates would be really bad for America. He doesn't know what he's talking. He's just saying what he has to get this fucking pardon. These answers were typical, Trump-friendly, but maybe not technically dishonest. When Bankman-Fried really doesn't want to discuss a subject, he'll say something polite, ruminative like, it's a good question, and then make a meaningless word salad familiar to anyone who observed him testify at trial. As one journalist wrote at the time, he has a vast vocabulary of weasel phrases. I'm sure Bankman-Fried would have loved to boost his prescient investment in Anthropic, but the company has been feuding with the Department of Defense. On that subject, he would ask to speak off the record. He's even more twisted up about the odd online activity taking place in his name, or at least in support of his cause. When I ask him if he can tell me who is really behind freesbf.org, he goes nearly mute, refusing to say anything noteworthy on or off the record. Similar questions about the X accounts clamoring for his freedom went unanswered. Is his family running this internet campaign, his lobbyist, a secret friend? All of this possible activity fuels the long-standing perception that he'll do whatever it takes to achieve his desired result. His mother denies having anything to do with the site or any other online efforts besides her own. In April, the long-shot motion for a new trial and a new judge in which he represented himself was denied. Kaplan, with whom he's been feuding since before his trial, shot him down with an 11-page ruling, reprising his usual exasperation with Bankman-Fried's DIY gambits and insouciance before the court. Bankman-Fried's motion, Kaplan argued, was just one part of the plan to rescue his reputation he'd hatched years earlier, beginning with his come out as a Republican brainstorming document. And in June, a panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit rejected his official appeal. Earlier this year, a reporter for the New York Times asked Dump if he would pardon Bankman-Fried. I don't know him at all, the president replied, adding, no, I don't plan to. When news of Bankman-Fried's pardon request dropped in June, the administration referred reporters back to that quote. When news of Bankman-Fried's pardon request dropped in June, the administration referred reporters back to that quote. None of the Trump allies I called, including people who'd worked on other pardon cases, told me they'd heard differently. Bankman-Fried parents said they'd fired 2 people to lobby on their son's behalf. Brian Lanza, a lobbyist at Mercury Public Affairs, who worked as an advisor on Trump's 2024 campaign. And Corey Longhofer, A former Trump campaign lawyer who filed suit challenging the 2020 vote count in Arizona before reportedly clashing with the president over that effort. Okay, wait. Both liberalism and libertarianism philosophies tend to hold progressive or socially liberal views on issues like criminal justice reform, LGBTQ rights, privacy, and freedom of speech. I don't know about that. Because libertarians actually don't believe in like social safety nets. So they're very not the same. They don't actually. And actually, I would argue that there is a support for the LGBTQ community and rights in the libertarian community. I would want you to point me to somewhere that actually says that, because that's not. Yeah, that's not. Yeah, I know, Salty. I know. Yeah, well, I mean, it's actually not that hard to figure out kind of philosophically where people are coming from and where they might not mesh, with what. But yeah, liberalism, and first of all, liberalism is not, it's apples and oranges. Liberalism is not the same type of concept as libertarianism. They're two different concepts. And libertarians don't want a social safety net. They don't want Social Security. They don't want Medicare. They don't want Medicaid. They don't want any of that stuff. So they don't want states' rights. They don't care about that stuff. So it's actually they're very different. They're not the same. One of these things is not like the other. Social safety nets are like Social Security, like retirement, like Medicare, Medicaid, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Food assistance. Yeah. Equality. Yeah. Like rules against being, liberalism has a lot to do with the civil rights movement, with those things. So, yeah. Different. Okay, let's see here. Where am I? Where am I at? Oh, wait, here we go. Given the chaos and graft, I'm almost done with this. Given the chaos and graft that fueled Trump's Washington, to say nothing of the president's susceptibility to flattery, nobody really knows if Bankman-Fried has a shot, but the odds are steep. The ex-Democrat has few identifiable allies left in politics or the crypto industry, and no organic connection to the MAGA movement. This puts him at a disadvantage compared with someone like former Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao, who shrewdly triggered the customer panic that led to FTX's collapse and received his own pardon from Dump following a money laundering conviction. Oh, there's one for you too. Justin's son, Changpeng Zhao. You can look up all these pardons. Oh, here we go. Libertarianism. Abolish federal agencies, privatizing everything, abolishing taxes and minimum wage, occupational licensing, Social Security and Medicare. Ah, right. Yeah. Also all the regulations. So actually, libertarians are much closer to Republicans in terms of what they want, in terms of outcomes, than they are Democrats or Democratic Socialists. Yeah. Basically, the government is only for maintaining the military in the libertarian worldview. And isn't that even somewhat limited, because they don't want to, there's no interventionism in the libertarian worldview. They don't want to help anybody else. It's very isolationist, right? Am I right about that? I think I'm right. Oh, Changpeng Zhao's exchange effectively props up the Trump family's cryptocurrency concern, World Liberty Financial. Republicans have made clear what they think of the political upside of pardoning SBF. I hope the president doesn't fall for that. Senator Cynthia Loomis, a pro-crypto. That's right. She's the crypto queen. That's right. A pro-crypto Wyoming Republican said earlier this year of Bankman Fried. Bankman-Fried says his biggest regret isn't starting FTX or getting into effective altruism or committing any of the transgressions he was accused of, but relinquishing control of FTX shortly after its collapse. I mean, by far, the biggest thing is just like letting the lawyers take over the company. Like, I got gaslit, and part of me knew I was, or at least suspected I was getting gaslit, he said. I was really weak in that moment, and part of me knew I should have kept fighting. He did not look like somebody who was merely capitulating. Bankman-Fried was frantically trying to raise money and pleading his case to any journalist who would Listen, behind the scenes, he says, FTX lawyers were exerting pressure on him to cede his exchange to a takeover specialist, John Wraith III, who would guide the company through bankruptcy. He was highly reluctant, since he, perhaps delusionally, thought he could still save it. But then, he says, he thought about the scene from The Wolf of Wall Street, when Leonardo DiCaprio's character defiantly refuses to cut a deal with the feds, compelling him to leave his firm, and everybody on the trading floor goes wild, after which he went down anyway. In Manfred, he describes his decision to hand over the reins as a conversation with a superego entity named Moloch, referred to with the godlike pronouns he and him. He put his honor and humility mustaches and reminded me of that speech from The Wolf of Wall Street and said, don't let yourself become that. He put on his acceptance and agreement mustaches and reminded me that FTX was regulated and that regulators were the adults in the room and that now they were stepping in, and so it was time for me to step aside. I had gotten my wish. I was the fall guy. But of course, as was completely predictable, I couldn't fall in isolation, and everything that ultimately matters took the fall with me. Happy Pride Month. And Solstice. That's right. Oh my gosh, we forgot Solstice. In Bankman-Fried's telling, his tragic flaw wasn't that he had obeyed his moral code to a fault, but that he hadn't obeyed it enough. Another popular entertainment he reaches for in explaining his worldview is Everything Everywhere All at Once, which he watched while awaiting trial at his childhood home in Stanford's campus. The movie imagines a multiverse in which any number of random micro-events dramatically alter the life trajectories of different characters, suggesting an extreme degree of randomness underlying the stories we tell about ourselves. The movie comforts Bankman-Fried. What happened to FTX isn't the essence of who he is. There's the Sam who never got into crypto in the first place, and the Sam who had gone into journalism, and of course there was me, the Sam from the universe we happen to live in, wearing an ankle monitor. He writes, all those Sams are me, and I am all of them. Butterflies flap their wings, and I branched out through the multiverse. Wow, there's a lot of jargon in here, huh? Yeah, I hope it doesn't get cut either, Salty. Yeah, we've all paid so much into it. Hey, you know who else pays into it? People who are here undocumented. Isn't that funny? They pay into Social Security too through their payroll taxes. Isn't that a kicker? Oh boy, I bet you didn't know that. In early 2026, the Bureau of Prisons started shipping inmates out of the deteriorating Terminal Island. Bankman-Fried left in March after packing up some of his possessions: 7 pairs of socks, 5 shorts, 6 t-shirts, beans, dates, barbecue sauce packets, a mind bug set. Bankman-Fried got a good placement: the low-security prison FCI Lompoc, a complex of low-rises set in farmland that is a couple of hours closer to his parents. In April, I requested an in-person interview, which was granted, and I visited him there in May. After clearing security and passing through 2 heavy doors, I emerged on prison grounds. The correctional officer who oversees Bankman-Fried's unit walked me the few yards to the visiting area. Deeper into the complex, I saw inmates throwing a baseball on the diamond. In the distance behind them, there were mountains. The visiting area is indoor-outdoor. When I arrived, Bankman-Fried was chatting with a CO at the picnic table in a patio area. I asked him if he preferred to sit inside or outside. He said he was indifferent. I decided we'd go indoors and bought a couple of $5 Aquafinas from the vending machine. Bankman-Fried looked well, about 30 pounds lighter than he was on the outside and tanned from months of pickleball in the yard. He wore Nikes and he had bought at commissary and a uniform of brown khaki pants and a brown khaki short-sleeved shirt. The COs called him Bankman. He displayed physical tics familiar to anybody who knew him prior to his conviction, like his right leg chronically pumping up and down as we spoke. We sat on opposite ends of a low table. The 2 COs loosely monitored us from a guard station in the middle of the room, but otherwise nobody was around. Wait, I need to talk. Are we against the private sector over government control? Why? Okay. Boy, these are big conversations, Salty. Okay. Okay. Are we against private sector? No, I don't think I'm against the private sector. But I think there is a desire that has been expressed, and that is that one of the ways this regime is working towards, one of the things this regime is working towards, is that they want to privatize things that you and I may take for granted. You know, like there's these concepts called network cities or network states where corporations actually run the town. They provide the policing, they provide the, you know, all the business, everything, and you work for the company. Wait, I'm confusing myself. Sorry. It's just such a big topic. I'm kind of freaking out. Okay. So the goal of people like Peter Thiel, of people like, people like Sam Bankman-Fried, people like the Commerce Secretary, right, Howard Nutlick, one of the things they want is they want the private corporations and the donors, you know, Peter Thiel with Palantir, all kinds of things. They perceive a world where, like I said, the social safety nets and other things are really removed so that corporations like, let's say, JP Morgan Chase, kind of like a company town, but JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon, very popular with the administration. There's a world where I could see banking and other things and like Social Security and everything taken out of government and put into JP Morgan Chase, right? That would be part of an outcome that this regime is really interested in seeing. So no longer does the government have to do that. It's done with private corporations. And the corporations, people like Peter Thiel, have invested a lot of money in the Trump regime, in Trump, in J.D. Vance, and other people, in order to see a world where there is less regulation on their businesses. They have the big ugly bill now that has complete 100% expensing of all of their building in 1 year. And if you don't know what that does to our revenue as a country, then, I mean, you should really look into that. So turning towards private sector for answering those solutions is really just giving kleptocracy and billionaires control over our lives, right? And that may sound good to some people, but it doesn't sound good to me, because in the corporation's eyes, that's too much power, because then corporations would decide winners and losers, right? That you'd have to get your health care from, Oscar or One Medical, which is owned by Jeff Bezos, Oscar, which is owned by the Kushners. You know what I mean? Like, what they're doing is turning the United States of America into their piggy bank. Well, I mean, stopped all the foreign wars. I don't know what you're talking about, because we should not have bombed Iran. We should not have bombed Iran. You're right. You're right. It's so true. Private sector is inherently profit motivated. Yeah, but it's but what Josh is saying, Salty, what Josh is actually trying to say is that corporations put profits over people sometimes. Now, maybe you don't, but there is a point at which it becomes too much. And we have a situation in this country, Salty, where the rich are getting far richer, far faster. I mean, just from an economic standpoint, and I'm not an economist. I get a little bit, but I don't understand all of it. But I listen to really smart economists. And what they talk about is the fact that the wealth divide, and this is what unfortunately happens as you move closer towards private sector running things, that wealth divide is getting larger and larger. And that means that no one's ever going to really break through. So I'm sorry to be a little all over the place, but I would love to have this like linear conversation with you, Salty, about why do I think the way that I think? You know what I mean? Like, because I think there's such misconception about lefties and what we think and why we think it, and, you know, all kinds of assumptions about what I think and all that. And I don't think people really who criticize me really understand about what a lefty stands for or doesn't stand for, right? So I'd be happy to have like a real conversation with you about it too. Sorry to try and respond to things here, and of course I'm not high enough. I haven't smoked enough during this show. No, nothing wrong with making a profit. Yeah, exactly. As long as you pay employees a living wage. Yeah, that's right. It needs to add a percent. Right. Exactly. I mean, this is where we're at. Unfortunately, the ways of the old kind of corporation type of thing, American dream, are not really working. And we know this, but we kind of refuse to acknowledge it in some ways, or some of us do. And I think it would be beneficial to take a step back and say, you know, well, is that such a good thing? Or is there a role to play for elected representatives to balance how we take care of each other? Right? I think there is a lot to be said for that. Yeah, why do we think what we think? Yeah, I would love, and I would be happy to share with you why I think what I think. And, you know, go from there. But also, let me say this, Salty, because this is a thing that comes up all the time with people in different, you know, chats and stuff like that. And that is, you know, the divide between left and right, right? The divide. What I believe is that people should have the ability to live their lives as the person that they are without fear of exclusion, right? From the process, from the whole beautiful wide world, through barriers, because a certain group of people have been in charge of a system for a long time. They may exclude other people, right? So we're trying to work towards a world where, you know, we have that. What I feel is that there's a role for government to play to ensure that people have the basic human decency, dignity items, right? Basic medical care. I think we should figure out around education what is really going to work for. I have a lot of thoughts. I used to run a high school. I have a lot of thoughts about education and what we do and what we don't do and all those kinds of good things. But I think that there's roles to play for government. There's also roles that corporations can play. But I don't think, for example, that corporations should be able to make weird, you know, mega donations. I don't think that there should be corporate money in politics. I think that's part of what got us here, is that there's corporate money in politics that sway and influence, right? So eliminating that, I think, would be a huge step in the right direction to start us off. But I think at the end of the day, there's a role for government to play to ensure that people have the basics, that they can actually, you know, live their lives and pursue happiness. And then there's a role for corporations to play to actually be good corporate citizens. I worked in nonprofit for many years too, and I fundraised with corporations in Silicon Valley, actually. So I know a lot about that world, and I think that, you know, I think that there's a lot that the private sector could do actually to improve things. I would welcome that partnership. But what I'm talking about isn't that they want partnership. It's that they want to just buy it. And what the Trump regime is in the process of doing right now, and I know this might be a hard one for you to swallow, but what they're trying to do is break it so that people can buy it. And we're doing things like breaking companies so that we literally for the first time have ownership in companies like Intel and other things that I think is a huge conflict of interest. Right? So I think there's a role for each to play, but I think we need to really to consider what the impact of that is. And while you may be assuming that the corporate leaders or the billionaires don't have bad intentions, right? What I have learned just from the exposure is that their intentions have been fairly clear, because it's been followed by legislation to remove protections of the environment and regulations and other things. It's the tax bill. It's all of those things. So those are definitely like signs of where this regime and their donors, right? The billionaires, the corporations, the donors, and to both sides. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but I'm saying there's a specific goal of this Republican regime, and where they're trying to move us to. And it has a lot to do with privatization and with, changing the world, kind of the geopolitics of the world. And all of it is laid out in documents like the Mar-a-Lago Accord, which is something I've talked about on my show for a long time, written by Stephen Mirren, who is actually now a Fed governor, used to be the head of the president's Economic Advisors Council. And he wrote a document in November 2024 called the Mar-a-Lago Accord, or referred to as the Mar-a-Lago Accord, which talked about upending global trade and creating a world where we basically, they didn't say extort, but that's the word, where we extort things like resources, minerals, and other things in exchange for safety, in exchange for, we won't blow you up. That's a nice country you have there. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. Why don't you give us some of that cobalt you got? So, there's a lot. I'm sorry, Salty. There's just so much that we've learned over the last 4 or 5 years, especially, post the first Trump regime. And so there's just a lot. And it's not about Trump. Like, that's what other people don't understand. It's not about Trump. He's like the Trojan horse. And if anyone had been paying attention to what I've been saying, or other people, you'd know that. Like, he's just the Trojan horse. And there's no Trump derangement syndrome. The Trump derangement syndrome is on the side of the MAGA who just can't get over him, right? Like, literally, it's going to come out, and which is why he's fighting so hard to hide it. It's going to come out that he actually raped children. That's going to come out. I'm sorry. I know it's hard. It's very hard to think that anyone would be that sick. But that is actually who he is. Nothing's hard to screaming and yelling at each other. Well, I mean, actually, I'm not screaming and yelling at anyone, by the way. I mean, I'll scream when I'm out there to protest, but that's what I'm there to do. I'm perfectly willing to have a conversation, but everyone wants to assume what I think and not ask me what I think. Now, I think the way that you and your chat speak about trans people is not acceptable. Because to me, trans people, first of all, trans women are women. Trans men are men. And yes, men can have babies because trans men are men. But they may still have birthing capabilities. So, and I feel very strongly about the way we use our language around that, because what I see that is, and this might, what I see that as is you're trying to tell someone or police who they are. And I just can't imagine trying to police anyone as to who they are. And then if you want to go to but the children, well, okay. First of all, no. Because when it comes to this entire trans process, if you don't understand how that process works, and I don't understand everything about that process, I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I know enough to know that there is thoughtful and science-based medicine and therapy and other things that assist people who are transitioning. And that may happen when they're children. Okay, but who cares about what's the point of that? What's the point of that? But the whole men and women thing, Salty, is a concept. You're talking about gender versus sex. You're talking about gender versus sex. Anyway, let's not get too down that road, but I'm happy to have that conversation with you too. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, it's not about Trump. Well, it's not. Okay, but see, that's the point. It's not that Trump is part of the problem. Trump is definitely part of the problem. But yeah, he's not the only problem. You've got an entire cabinet, you've got an entire structure within the Republican Party that has decided that they're going to undermine democracy, right? Yeah, that's like toxic chud stuff. You got to get rid of that. That's not right. That's not right. Meowing Star! Great news, good news. My MAGA neighbor is working on moving out. Fuck yeah, will be really nice not having transphobic slurs yelled at me when he's blackout drunk. I know, Salty, you may not have anything against trans people, but when you say that, when you say things like that, well, the biological men are men. You're actually dismissing an entire population of people. I bet you do. And good, I'm glad you have questions. But I challenge you, Salty, I challenge you to let go. And why not support someone's right to decide and to be who they are? Not decide. Sorry, that was the wrong word. To just be who they are. And if you're so concerned with parental rights, which a lot of people on the right are concerned with parental rights, right? You want don't tell my kids what to do in school, that kind of stuff. Well, then why the hell are you telling parents what to do with their child? Why are you involved in trans children issues anyway? That's a parent's right. You see? So it's just hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy. And being against, well, just don't show it to my kids. Well, that's terrible. Why in the world would you say you're basically demonizing an entire population by saying, hey, stay away from my kids? What? First of all, nobody wants your kids, okay? That's not a thing. That's not a thing. Oh, right. Gender versus sex. Yeah, we know. We actually know. We're not confused in this room at all. Okay. Sorry. There are a ton of things you can read about, and I highly encourage you to do so, as expecting one person to answer all your questions. I know. Salty just, he wants to know. He needs a lefty friend. Anyway, we should do a show, Salty. We should do a show one day, and you can come on and I'll go on and we can just talk through whatever. You can ask me whatever you want to ask me. And if I know the answer, I'll tell you the answer. If I don't know the answer, I won't. Probably more for the right than the left. The right is more confused. I think they are. They're very confused. I totally agree. No, I think there is a lot of confusion in that. But I think my simple rule of thumb is this, and I think this is what helps me during all this, all this stuff. What helps me is it is not my business what anybody does. Period. Really. Now, unless you're hurting other people, and I'm sorry, you're going to try and make the claim that somehow parents are hurting their children by whatever. No, that's not right. Okay, this is not Dr. Mengele. This is not. You want to talk about Dr. Mengele? You should look at RFK Jr. Oh, I know you don't, Salty, but you do have a lot of Salty. You got some. I mean, I understand you like your chat, but you have some. You got to think about that. So yeah, anyway, the thing is I think it's really my best advice on this is ask the questions you want to ask, maybe not assume things. Confused maybe about entitlement to satisfactory ends. Yeah, maybe a little confused about that. But at the end of the day, everyone in this land has a right to exist and to be celebrated for who they are, Salty. And that's what I'm saying to you is you may not have all the answers to your questions about what it is to be trans or all of that. But guess what? That doesn't matter. None of that matters. What matters is that you love and be loved. And that what really drives my philosophy, my political philosophy of all things, is this going to hurt people? Or is there a way to help people? And help people in terms of people I may never meet. I vote so that, and I pay taxes so that other people can get services. I don't have a child in school, but I happily pay taxes because I want our schools to be good. And that is my driving philosophy. That's all I want. I love the Constitution. I love the Bill of Rights. I think the words more perfect union are more meaningful than any words in any document that we have, is that we are never perfect and we are always striving to be better. But we have to understand what's happening in this country. It is not a traditional politics situation. It is a group of individuals, and you can trace it back. And if you had watched my show or paid attention to people like Gal Suburban and others, you would know that this has been pretty much in the works to really get to a place where democracy is unstable. And that's, yeah, not a single other channel has asked. They just attacked and demand answers. I mean, nobody ever asks me. Nobody ever asks me. So, I mean, and I'm banned from every chat. So that's why no one knows what I really think. Here we go. Or here's my lefty response. Would you like me to come to your house and tell you what you should eat and how you should dress and who you should love? No, we don't. Nobody wants that. I also think it's something people may not realize in this country is that, yeah, payments due on my air and water subscription final notice. This is privatization is it's not the panacea. Public-private investment, sure, that's reasonable. Totally reasonable, but it's got to be, we got to get corporations out of our business. And surveillance, I don't want to talk about surveillance. Anyway, well, you're welcome to come back, Salty, please. That's very nice of you to come in and be so kind and ask good questions. And happy to have you anytime to come in. We do this most mornings. It's going to be a little crazy the next couple of weeks because I'm getting ready to move to a new place. Yes! Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Bum, bum. So I'll be moving in a couple of weeks, starting the big move. But I got to clean this place before then so they can do a decent walkthrough and get it rented. So I love my landlord. My current landlord's such a sweetheart. So we want to make sure it's really good for her. So we'll be working on that. So I will see you tomorrow morning. Oh. What's big government? I don't even understand what big government is. I know there are departments in the government that work, and then there are departments that don't. And there are ways to evaluate whether or not the government's working for you, but we just want to quit it. Yeah, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Is the smoke from the fire affecting you? I don't believe we've had any smoke come over from Boyle Heights. We're not far away from it, but we're a bit west of it. We're definitely a bit west. Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Salty. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're a bit west. We're a bit west. Yes, tomorrow, 7 a.m. Fuck yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Yeah, we got stuff tomorrow. Okay, we got congressional shit happening tomorrow morning. Girl, it's gonna be a day. It's gonna be a day. Today was our reading day. Tomorrow we're not gonna have as much time to read. Okay. Yeah, they sure are. All right. It's good to see you, Paul, by the way. Paul, Josh, everybody. I might have missed saying hello to. Yeah, we can't even agree what perfect looks or sounds like. Perfect. It's such a feelings word. That's another thing I point out. Watch out for feelings words. Okay. Feelings versus facts. Not truth. Notice I didn't say truth. Truth is subjective. It's feelings. Watch for the feelings language. JD Vance does a lot of feelings language. Trump does a lot of feelings language. Yeah, they're really good at that. It's blowing south of you. Ooh. Yeah, I haven't really noticed it, but I'm a little scared about it, actually. I'm not scared, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm really scared for the people who live in Boyle Heights, for fuck's sake. Karen Bass, you better not screw this the fuck up. Excuse me, I love pineapple on my pizza. Thank you very much. I don't even understand. That's right, Lolo's on the move. Watch me now. Ooh, ooh, make it on, baby. Oh, driving me crazy. Oh, little soul now. Boom, 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 boom. Weren't we talking about Patrick Swayze? Oh my God, you guys. That movie. Bye, Salty. Have a good one. Perfect is no cat gifs. Stop it. Cat gifs are perfect. What was I going to say? Anti-cat gifs. What was I going to say? I don't even know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. All right. Of course she's right. I mean, no, she's not. Wait a minute. Are we talking about pineapple? No, she's not. Okay, she's wrong about one thing. My brother came super close to losing his home last week. Oh my God. Paul, that's terrible. Was that fires or was it weather? What happened? Oh, babe. Yeah, it sounds like a nightmare. It's just a fight I'm willing to have. Pineapple doesn't belong on pizza. Whatever. I would eat mango and ham on a pizza. You people are crazy. You should at least try. Well, I don't know if I would go for mango and pineapple. I need a little meat in there. But maybe. I don't know. Anyway. Gosh, Paul, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. Team anti-catches. God, haters gonna hate. Ainer's gonna ain't. My God. Oh, a fire in Spokane. Oh, Paul. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sending the best. Hope everything works out. Neil, stop being a hater. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you for being the voice of reason. I appreciate it. All right. Okay, pizza, extra cheese, no sauce. Okay. All right. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. AKA an Italian quesadilla. I would eat that. I would eat that very much, thank you. We're not stopping anyone else from putting pineapple on pizza, though. We're just going to shame you publicly. Ooh, and green olives where available. Y'alls. I'm no hater. I love pizza. All right, y'all. Have a blessed Monday. Blessed be. Go out there and fuck it up. He got very lucky. He didn't even get the fire. I don't know what that means. What is the state of the pineapple's chromosomes? What are the chromosomes of a pineapple anyway? Yum, yum. Yeah. Oh. Oh, God. Well, Paul, we're definitely going to be thinking about your neighbor. I'm so sorry. God. Well, thus begins another week in the land of milk and honey. Thank you, Oren. Thank you all for coming today. Thanks for listening to the long form articles that we did. I like the New York. It gives us a little bit of a deeper dive into something. I really appreciate that. So I will definitely see you tomorrow. Have a beautiful day, really, and have just, yeah, really. I hope the week is good. I really do. I hope the week is good. I will. Where am I? Oh, here I am. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a beautiful Monday. Bye. Oops, not bye. I think my computer's a little weird. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, hold on, everybody. I'm frozen. I'm frozen. I'm frozen. I'm frozen. Why am I frozen? Why am I frozen? Why am I frozen?